to 350-350.
Have you ever wanted to speak another language? Whether you want to speak Spanish, French, or German, Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons can get you speaking confidently in your new language within weeks.
I just started learning Spanish with Babbel, and it's really helping me with my pronunciation.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? Haha, I got it! I'm amazed how confidently I speak Spanish now. I wish I had tried Babbel sooner.
Babbel's award-winning technology gets you speaking right away. And best of all, you'll remember what you've learned. No wonder Babbel is the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Try it for yourself and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language, like Spanish, German, Portuguese, and more. You can try Babbel for free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and try it for free. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Mary, the child you bear will become the greatest of men.
From the network that brought you the Bible.
There has been talk about Jesus. They say he's healing the sick.
Comes the life of Jesus Christ.
His preaching is what concerns me.
He's helping people.
From those who knew him best.
We are his followers. We've seen him do wondrous things.
I am the resurrection and the life.
Jesus, his life. Monday, March 25th at 8 on History.
Even in my own home, I had my own designated space to smoke. If I think about it, it really was like I was punishing myself. A friend of mine said, why wouldn't you just try the Juul? And so I went out and I bought one. The idea of going back to smoking, I couldn't even imagine doing that. I don't think anyone, including myself, thought that I could switch.
Carolyn made the switch October 2016. Make the switch at JUUL.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hey guys, Ken here from the award-winning podcast, Today's Growth. If you had to choose sides, which camp would you rather be in? Would you rather have time and no money, or money and no time? Did you know that 95% of U.S. adults by choice have settled into these categories? Much more interesting is that 1 out of 20 people have built their life around achieving simultaneous control of both time and money. What choices did these 5% make that the others didn't? My friends at Income Store have shown both households and businesses how to build second, third, and even fourth revenue streams for the express purpose of gaining control of time. When it comes to helping folks create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income Store as a can't miss. Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that doesn't solely depend on you? If so, you need to check out IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma. Here's to progress.
At 5:10 from the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
In southwest suburban Palos Park, 123rd Street is closed between LaGrange Road and 90th Avenue due to downed power lines. There are 2 fires blazing this morning, one on the west side, Jackson and Damon, and there's one in Robbins, 135th and Monticello. Outbound Eisenhower and Ida B. Wells Drive will shortly be accessed to the outbound Kennedy. That ramp's been closed for overnight work. We're not seeing any delays on the Kennedy right now. The Eisenhower looks good as well. No problems for report on the Stevenson or the Ryan. There is some outbound work on the Rhine again today from 87th to Split. The Harrison Street Bridge will close today for midday work starting at 9. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Steve Williams.
A wind advisory for later this morning. Sun and clouds, shower and a heavy thunderstorm and a gusty wind today, high 64. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Shower tonight, low 35. Rain and drizzle tomorrow morning with a high near 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 5:30. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella, Sunday mornings starting at 8.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Day 2 of the college admissions scandal. Lori Loughlin is a free woman. $1 million bond yesterday. You know what's interesting about Loughlin and Felicity Huffman, the two actresses that were indicted?
What?
Their husbands weren't.
Well, yeah, because it's a mom's job. I mean, no offense to you men out there, and if you would disagree with me, 312-642-5600, but women are mostly in charge of college placement for their children. They're the ones who take them on, the road trips on the weekends to explore different colleges.
I don't think that's exactly true.
And then filling out the paperwork and getting it done because you want your child to succeed. And moms, it's a detriment to our gender, but moms will stop at nothing to get what they want for their children.
Well, it's right.
Some of us have morals and moral compasses, but a lot of us don't.
And so the husbands weren't even apprised? They had no idea what was going on? Or is it more like, Look, we're doing this, and the husband was like, okay, whatever, I can't stop this. So, you do what you want, but you wear the jacket for it. So it's just fun to see the women get their hands dirty a little bit, huh?
Well, Felicity Huffman, she was on tape. They did mention her husband in the indictment, but he wasn't indicted because the conversation that they taped was between Felicity and William Rick Singer, whose son, by the way, goes to DePaul University, just graduated in 2017. And Singer gave DePaul University $150,000 in 3 years.
Oh, I'm sure DePaul
donated from the key.
As horrified as DePaul is by the scandal, I'm sure they're going to return that illicit money.
They're not. They said it was, what they thought to be a legitimate donation, and they're keeping the money.
Another example of DePaul being the Catholic school that despises Catholicism. That's good stuff. Also, too, just because you mentioned this idea of wired conversations. Interesting how this all broke out. The Wall Street Journal had the story. Federal authorities pursuing a securities fraud case when a person involved, a financial executive hoping for leniency, said, "Oh, you think this is good?
Yeah.
Do I have a case for you?
Something better."
He had information. The executive told investigators that the head women's soccer coach at Yale had sought a bribe in return for getting his daughter admitted to the Ivy League. Authorities zeroed in on that Yale soccer coach who began cooperating when federal investigators, of course, now have termed the largest college admissions fraud scandal ever prosecuted. So just interesting how, what the thread was that when it was pulled, the whole thing unraveled. It wasn't on the Singer side. It was another guy dealing with being the target of the feds on another thing. And so anyway, that just interesting how that broke apart. Also, going back to Loughlin, this is interesting, too, just in terms of how this all pieces together and how college admissions work and the treatment some get versus others, which I know has been a big topic of conversation. As Lori Loughlin was traveling back to L.A. to be arraigned from Vancouver, her daughter, Olivia Jade, who we heard from yesterday, she's this YouTube influencer star, was spending the night on the yacht of the chairman of USC's Board of Trustees.
Well, in her defense, she is friends with the Board of Trustees' daughter. They have, tweeted pictures together. They've been...
That's right.
But I'm saying, why don't you go that route in to get to college instead of going with Rick Singer, unless that Board of Trustee knew about Rick Singer and said, why don't you go through the Key website.
Oh, it's just remarkable. Speaking of Olivia Jade.
You're into her now, huh?
Sure. She's influenced. I'm buying all the makeup she recommends now.
And, ordering things from Amazon for your dorm room. Okay.
I tell you, she was right about that bronzer. I mean, it just lights up my face.
It really does.
Thank you. Olivia Jade on these shows, too. The Zach Sang show? Anybody? Anyone? Zach Sang? I don't know.
Is it a podcast or is it a...
I don't know. Don't know who he is. Don't know
Do
what
even
this
our
is.
millennials know what that is?
I'm too far removed
Justin,
from it.
do you know what that is? No.
Is that no?
See, he gave us the nod.
nothing on
Like,
Zach
no.
Sang. Olivia Jade doing an interview with Zach Sang and some other guy with colored hair. I don't know. And she's talking about maybe where mom got the idea for this whole thing. She's not talking about it on point because this happened, of course, before this all broke. But her dad's example may have informed the family's choice.
Question. To your parents for a second.
Yes.
Your dad is fashion mogul, like visionary, innovator, all of it.
Right.
There is a line like at Target, right, that bears his name.
Yes.
Oh, I love Target. Me too. And
Me too.
And I
Guys who
own
love
this.
Target.
I think they're sweatpants that I have, and I think I have something else that bears your dad's name. Is there a part of you that understands the YouTube audience and sees what your dad has built in that lane as some sort of inspiration? Because
completely, yeah.
You can take a great eye, and the cost can be what the cost can be.
Right.
You don't need to sacrifice a good eye in a fashion sense just for the cost of a product.
Yeah, it's funny too because my sister wants to go the same route my mom went, and I want to go completely like the business side where my dad is. But he's honestly really helpful. I can just look at that for inspiration, I guess, and seeing that hard work does pay off. He didn't come from a lot, so it's cool to see that he built it all himself. Especially, he has a really crazy story in college. He like built his whole entire brand, and he wasn't actually like ever. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. Sorry, Dad, but he wasn't ever like enrolled in college, but he like faked his way through it. And
wow.
Yeah. So and then he started his whole business with tuition money that his parents thought were going to college. That's like such a different time, but
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but it's okay.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
It is a cool story.
I love fraud. It's so fun.
And now she's going to fake her way through USC. They just sort of scaled the fraud.
Well, it's so weird because I'm a big Shameless fan, and I've watched every episode. And in season 2, their older son, Lip, William Macy's son, took SAT and ACT tests for other people and got paid for it. And that's pretty much what happened. And then he'd go in and change the test scores. And that's what happened. Oh, wait, look. Life imitating art. But also there's a Full House episode with Uncle Jesse and Aunt Becky when they had their preschool kids and they're trying to get him into an elite preschool.
What's going on? Just checking out this application for Boughton Hall. I'm not going to lie on this application. You got to give the boys a little edge. And you're right. Uh-huh. I'm their father. Darn right. If I don't lie for them, who will?
You must have done a great job on that application. They're interested in Nikki and Alex.
I may have, what's the word I'm looking for? I may have embellished. This is very important. You know, the fast track. Zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom.
Yeah, right. Okay, zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Look, Mrs. Jacobs, we have to be honest. Well, I have to be honest. We may have, well, he may have embellished, lied a bit on our application.
She's not going to be able to pin this one on John Stamos.
No, she won't.
Yeah, or they could, I don't know, just read the newspapers about Derrick Rose for the idea. Tom, in Blue Island, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking the call. Hey, knowing how actors have a hard time living in reality, maybe Felicity Huffman was seeing a little Jerry Lundegaard from Fargo and William C. Macy and was afraid he was going to send a couple knuckleheads over there to roll her in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Have a good day, you guys.
Thanks for the call, Tom. The old, right out to the old wood chipper. Yeah.
Oh, I
hear what
love
you're
that.
saying.
You're near the darn tootin'. Mark Riddle, he's the guy who took most of the tests. He's an older man, but he looks like a younger kid, like a teenager. He came out and apologized yesterday, but what he would do, he would try and look like the kid on the ID and dress that way. It's just so fraudulent and so corrupt. I hope they get rid of the whole system. Really.
Robert in Oakbrook.
Yeah, after listening to you guys, very quickly, a dear friend of mine never went to college. He owns WeatherTech. He makes $160 million last year. That's what he made.
No, I know. I'm sure he
so
probably
you don't
wouldn't want
need
you
to go
tell
to
people
college.
that.
You don't need it. You need to figure out, use your brain, figure out what everybody wants in the world, and you sell it. It's called work. He's a very hardworking guy, Dave McNeil, and he never went to college. And he's worth more money than anybody in Hollywood, except for a couple people. But, I mean, the guy's going bonkers, and it takes will, hard work, and a little determination. You don't need college.
Right.
You need free will. You need the American dream.
All right.
This is a kid I grew up with. This is a person that right now, this year, I think he's going to do $1 billion.
I'm sure he loves it.
Okay.
You tell
All
everybody.
right. Thanks for the call, Robert.
Well, and he's got a wonderful pet
unauthorized
line.
biography.
Yeah.
Also caught up in this. This is sort of fun. A tennis instructor for former First Lady Michelle Obama and the daughters. You see this? Gordon Ernst previously served as the tennis coach at Georgetown University before becoming the women's tennis coach at the University of Rhode Island. He's been accused of conspiracy to commit racketeering while employed at Georgetown. Georgetown, one of the schools in the scam, too. So we're continuing to see this radiate out and envelop interesting people. So we'll have them all for you.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hi, I'm attorney Stephen Leahy, and I help business owners, 1099 employees, and those with unfiled tax returns solve their IRS problems. And I'm also the host of the IRS Radio Hour.
And I'm Jim Leahy, the co-host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard right here every Sunday evening at 5 on AM 560.
The Answer. I know you want a local attorney you can look in the eye and hold accountable for solving your IRS problem, not some big box outfit without a Chicago connection. So today we have a special offer. A good night's sleep.
A good night's sleep? Are you trying to give away a pillow?
Great guess, Jim. But no, I want to help people solve the problems that are keeping them up at night. If you fear the IRS will take away your money, freeze your bank account, garnish your wages, visit your home or job, and now they can take away your passport, you need to hire me to solve your IRS problem for good.
Call attorney Stephen Leahy, your Chicago IRS answer man at 312-664-6649, 312-664-6649, and get the IRS out of your business and your life for good.
Feeling better every day now that I've started taking Balance of Nature. It really helps with joint pain and stiffness, and it helps to boost your immune system. And now's the perfect time for that because we're changing into spring and spring allergy season, and you want to stay healthy and feel good. You need to do what I started doing, and that's take Balance of Nature. It's the easy way to get your daily dose of fruits and veggies because we all know you aren't eating enough. Balance of Nature is 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies in a single capsule. There's no dyes or preservatives. I've met the creator, Dr. Douglas Howard. He's very passionate about his product. He wants people to live better and healthier lives. So get your bottle of Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com. Use the promo code Chicago for 20% off your first set of fruits and veggies from Balance of Nature. I'll call this number, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. balanceofnature.com.
What would you be willing to spend to make an often frustrating aspect of your business run smoothly, perfect, hassle-free? Yep, talking about IT, networks, computers. Sure, it would be great to hire an entire IT department, but that would be expensive. There's salaries, benefits, space for new employees, equipment. Nope, not going to happen. Or could it? For only $7.95 a month, you can make your IT issue a thing of the past with Turnkey IT. Just like your own in-house IT department, but better. Turnkey makes it happen. They make it secure, and they make it smart. You'll be set up for success and in front of the many technical issues that can overwhelm a business. Turnkey becomes your IT department and help with all your daily IT issues, plus preventative steps to keep your business going. Have Turnkey do a complimentary network audit of your systems, even if you have a current IT company, so you know where you stand with your technology.
Leave the technical stuff to the pros, so you can focus on the important things. Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey.pro.
AM 560, The Answer.
Point of order, Lori Loughlin's husband, the fashion designer, he was indicted too.
Oh.
Hey, William H. Macy not indicted, but both Lori Loughlin and the husband bonded out at $1 million.
And the guy who spearheaded this, the ringleader, he could spend 65 years in prison.
Yeah, okay.
And Lori Loughlin, the judge set her bond at $1 million yesterday. So she posted bond with $100,000. So they're serious and they're going to go after him.
Also, Northwestern is enmeshed in this, kind of, sort of. CBS 2 had this. Student currently enrolled at Northwestern is the offspring, because they don't identify the student's name.
Yeah.
Manuel and Elizabeth Enriquez, who plan to pay as much as $80,000 to this singer's company to help I guess it's a daughter. Their daughter cheat twice on the ACT and on 3 SAT subjects. They were both indicted. He's a big-time venture capital guy, made like $8 million last year. He's out in California.
So what are they? Yeah.
But now Isabel, the daughter, so it's not disclosed here. She's not indicted. Okay.
Right. So none of the kids are.
But Daily Beast has it as her bragging about, Isabel Enriquez bragging about cheating on the SATs. On her LinkedIn page, this is the daughter.
Oh, no.
She describes herself as a rapid learner who enjoys, quote, finding the problem and taking a step back to observe all possible solutions. And she talks about how she made this great improvement on her SAT, 320-point improvement from her previous score. She's sort of bragging about it.
Did she mention Mark Riddell? The guy who would sneak in and change answers, too?
She says...
Well, that's great.
Well, in her case, it was sitting side by side with the proctor who provided answers to her as she went through the exam. After the exam, he gloated with Elizabeth Enriquez and her daughter about the fact that they had cheated and got away with it, did the proctor. So, bragging about a crime is a sure way to get caught, too, for those of you thinking about committing a crime.
And also what makes me sick, too, is the fact that the singer said, get your kids diagnosed with a phony learning disability in order to extend their time and then get them into places where other kids weren't taking the test so the proctor could come and help them with the exam.
Another interesting thing about this will be the professional implications for the parents who've been charged.
Oh, yeah.
For example, the co-chairman of this big law firm, Wilkie Farr and Gallagher, has been placed on leave after, his name is Gordon Kaplan, after the same federal complaint accuses him of spending $75,000 on a bribe to boost his daughter's ACT scores. So maybe a lesson for the kids watching their parents be prosecuted and otherwise perhaps being professionally ruined as a result of engaging in cheating on their behalf. I hope that's what translates down rather than apparently the culture in these households, which is mommy and daddy have a lot of money so they can buy anything and the rules don't apply to us. Well, it's nice to see, and I think this is what's satisfying for a lot of people, the rules applying at least to some of these people.
What do you think should happen to all the kids? I mean, the 33 kids who were at USC, at Northwestern, at Georgetown, should their credits be taken away? Should they be expelled? Or if they're doing well, should they remain to stay? Because I think that Olivia girl's going to be she's going to be harassed, I'm sure, and life's not going to be easy for her at USC going forward. Well, she's the face of this because everybody knows who she is because she's a big YouTube star. Unless she addresses it on her YouTube channel and says, but here's my current GPA. I'm doing really well.
Well, first of all, she's not going to be in class very much anyway because she's focused on traveling the world, promoting makeup and making money. And right. I guess God bless her for that ability to do that. Number one. Number two, I mean, you don't need to go to class to get a degree from USC anyway.
Will you stop it? It's not that bad. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll pick up this conversation about the admissions scandal and talk about possible solutions, how college admissions should work at 5:38.
And later, President Trump finally called it. He ordered the grounding of 737 MAX 8s. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Mike Scott's out with the flu, and here is Perry Williams.
Good morning. Partly cloudy skies. It's 53 degrees in Chicago at 5:30 on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Perry Williams. The next set of textbooks that Illinois schools buy may be required to have some chapters on the contributions of gays and lesbians. The Illinois House yesterday approved a plan to require that all new books paid for with Illinois textbook block grant money be inclusive. Chicago City Council is moving forward with two controversial projects. Aldermen voted yesterday to approve a zoning change needed to build the $6 billion Lincoln Yards development along with the North Branch of the Chicago River, or along the North Branch of the Chicago River. The $900 million TIF subsidy for Lincoln Yards still needs approval. The council also passed the $95 million police training academy on the west side despite objections from protesters. The two candidates running for Chicago mayor are laying out their plans for combating crime in the city. While appearing separately yesterday at a University of Chicago forum, Tony Preckwinkle and Lori Lightfoot both agree that crime should be treated as a public health crisis. Preckwinkle called for a major investment in community policing, and Lightfoot said the mayor's Office of Public Safety should be expanded. Both are open to a new police training academy, but not in the form of the $95 million academy that was approved by the city council yesterday. In sports news, Illinois earned a 74-69 overtime victory over Northwestern in the first round of the Big Ten tournament at the UC. Illinois will play Iowa in the second round tonight. The Bulls travel to the West Coast tomorrow night to play the Clippers. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. AM 560 news time is 5:32. How bad is traffic? We'll have the answer in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder.
The Larry Elder Show. Policies enacted by FDR account for, according to these researchers, 60% of the weak recovery. Without the policies, they contend that the Depression would have ended in 1936 instead of the year that the slump actually ended, 1943. Calling this the Green New Deal shows profound historical ignorance.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Dr. Mike Andriano of Trinity Holistic Health Center. We live in interesting times. The world seems to make less sense every year. More adults and children struggle with anxiety and sleep issues. Over the past couple years, more than half of the clients coming into my office report poor sleep or problems with anxiety. Those who suffer with these issues know that they impact every aspect of their life and seem like torture. Both issues are signs of deeper health problems. Inflammation drives a process that causes anxiety and poor sleep. Anti-inflammatory diets, herbs, and even medications don't address the root cause of inflammation, but we do. My practice at Trinity Holistic Health Center concentrates on finding and fixing the root cause of your health problem, not just covering up the symptoms.
If this sounds like you, go to lifedoc.am or call 1-833-LIFE-DOC and learn how you can get help to end your anxiety and get a restful night's sleep once and for all. That's lifedoc.am or call 1-833-LIFE-DOC.
Have you ever wanted to speak another language? Whether you want to speak Spanish, French, or German, Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons can get you speaking confidently in your new language within weeks.
I just started learning Spanish with Babbel, and it's really helping me with my pronunciation.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? Haha, I got it! I'm amazed how confidently I speak Spanish now. I wish I had tried Babbel sooner.
Babbel's award-winning technology gets you speaking right away. And best of all, you'll remember what you've learned. No wonder Babbel is the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Try it for yourself and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language, like Spanish, German, Portuguese, and more. You can try Babbel for free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and try it for free. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
At 5:34 from the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
Flight boards at O'Hare show some cancellations this morning, 62 at the moment, and we have over 20 at Midway as well. Palos Park down power lines have 123rd blocked off between LaGrange Road and 90th Avenue. Providence, there's a fire, 135th and Monticello. There's one on Chicago's west side on Jackson at Damon. In the Loop, there's a crash on Wabash and Randolph, and one in East Chicago right near the Gary Airport, Klein Avenue and Airport Road. Seeing mild delays now on the inbound Stevenson Cicero to Pulaski, about a 2-minute delay there. Inbound Rhine, got a 2 or 3 minute delay coming into downtown. Station Ford, about a 2-minute delay approaching the merge. Tollways are fine. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer comes your way next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Steve Williams.
A wind advisory later this morning. Sun and clouds, shower and a heavy thunderstorm. Winds gusting past 45 miles per hour, high 64. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Shower tonight, low 35. Rain and drizzle tomorrow morning with a daytime high at 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 6 o'clock. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Was President Trump right to ground those Boeing 737 MAX 8s? Top of the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be talking to an expert in the space, Robert Mark from Flying Magazine and jetwine.com. But laymen are able to weigh in on this, too. President Trump, clearly a layman based on his tweeting, and he weighed in on it by grounding those 737 MAX 8s.
Well, yeah, he made the big announcement yesterday.
We're going to be issuing an emergency order of prohibition to ground all flights of the 737 MAX 8 and the 737 MAX 9 and planes associated with that line. Any plane currently in the air will go to its destination and thereafter be grounded until further notice.
Oh, and there were planes in the air. There was one from Las Vegas to Midway, and the passenger, who's from Chicago, found out about the stop or the grounding of the planes while he was in the plane.
We didn't know while we were in the air. I just happened to pull up the Southwest Wi-Fi and was watching TV and saw it on the news.
I'm sorry. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it does.
I'm not sure either.
I think if the technology isn't at its tip-top shape, they shouldn't be putting citizens' lives in danger.
Yeah, well, that's not really the issue. The technology not being in tip-top shape. Holman Jenkins has a good piece in the Wall Street Journal. That's a little bit of even-handed distillation of this controversy and the associated hysteria. He makes the point about computers in the cockpit, because that was the point that Trump made over the weekend. It's so complicated to fly, you got to be Albert Einstein to be able to fly.
MIT engineer to figure it out.
Jenkins writes, Trump, in fact, echoes the public thoughts of then chief pilot of British Airways more than a decade ago. He warned about a de-skilling of pilots and their inevitable replacement by computers. He may have been right. Airline crashes have become rarer as automation has become more prevalent, but those accidents that do occur seem increasingly to consist of cockpit systems and crews working together to fly perfectly viable planes into the ground. He gives a couple of examples. 1988 air show that an Airbus pilot later blamed on an automated system's failure to respond to his demand for more power, that crash. 2013 San Francisco crash of that South Korean airliner in perfect weather because the crew was unused to landing a plane by hand.
Oh, my gosh.
Crash of a plane in the South Atlantic due to crew's inability to respond when the autopilot surrendered the plane after being triggered by faulty sensors. And the Lion Air crash in Indonesia, one of the other 737 MAX 8, is believed to have involved a particular software feature, the nose-up corrective feature that we discussed yesterday, the anti-stall feature. This was to compensate for the updated 737's tendency to adopt a nose-up attitude. But so it's a design compromise, but as Jenkins points out, design compromise is a redundant term since design is a process of compromise.
So the FAA resisted the move for days. So I was wondering what gives, why now? But apparently Canada, our friends up north, had satellite imagery of the Ethiopian airplane, and they said it went up and down exactly like the Air Ryan flight. So that's why they did
Lion Air,
excuse me.
Well, Canada was not going to allow 737 MAX 8s in their airspace. Yeah. So that was, that their satellite imagery is interesting. The thing that starts to make it more difficult for international carriers is when countries like Canada say, we're not allowing those planes in our airspace.
I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Okay, well then we should reduce the speed limit to 5 miles an hour on the expressways.
Sometimes I drive 5 miles per hour. No, I told you yesterday I changed flights, but now I want my money back because I had to pay $200 a ticket to change the flights to get onto an Airbus because I'm flying my mom here to watch the kids while we party in Puerto Vallarta. And, you know, and then there's other flights that I'm taking that I'm still listed on the app as being on a 737 MAX 8. So, and it's spring break time, and I'm sure people are very worried about their flights.
Well, sure, because people are rushed to hysteria.
But it shows you on the like what type of aircraft you're on, and it hasn't changed what aircraft we're on. But I don't think we're rushed to hysteria. If everyone if everyone in the world is doing it, we're not doing it. We should be doing it. But hopefully, it'll take just a few weeks, maybe a month, to figure it out. I'm with President Trump.
And hopefully they'll very quickly come up with the answer. But until they do, the planes are grounded.
So is that your understanding of how you determine if something's right based on the number of people who also say it's right?
I just don't want to take a chance, Dan. I don't like plane crashes. I'm sure you don't either. But when you see the devastation, then you hear from the family members. You know, there's a guy from Chicago, from Matson, who was on that flight, and a lot of UN workers. It breaks your heart, and I don't want to take a chance. I'm not putting my mom and my kids on a gosh darn 737 MAX 8. I'm not doing it. I'm the customer. I'm paying. I'm going to choose what aircraft we take.
You don't have to, and you can choose. And it's so difficult to unpack all of those non sequiturs. But let me try one. You can do whatever you want as a customer, and you can fly or not fly, and you can choose the flight and the time and all those things. That's what's great about a free country. But when people like you light their hair on fire and run screaming into the streets with other people and say, everything must stop because I have this unfounded concern, I'm going to impact the lives of everybody else because I'm not interested in facts. I'm interested in feeding my emotion. Then I got a problem with it.
Not interested in facts. I saw the Lion Air flight within 4 minutes, dipped down, up and down 11 times and crashed. Same thing happened with the Ethiopian Air. And the last transmission was he calling back to air traffic control saying, there's something wrong with the plane. I need to return.
The Ethiopian crew would have been fully briefed on how to turn off the now controversial nose-up system if it malfunctioned.
Well, first,
I'm sorry. Did you have something to say?
Automatic? Well, don't be schmarmy. I'm just saying. I'm not.
Don't be schmarmy. Don't moralize to me about.
I'm not running through the streets with my hair on fire. I'm just spending money on a plane, and I changed aircraft.
You're done talking over me?
I'm explaining myself.
Okay, keep explaining yourself.
No, I just
keep repeating the same thing.
All right. Well, I'm just saying, as a paying customer, I didn't run into the street with my hair on fire. I'm just saying, I'm not taking that aircraft, and I'm not alone.
Right. But again, all the Southwest 737 MAX 8s, all the American 737 MAX 8s, what do you have to say about that? Nothing. Here's what you say, and this is the thing that's so disquieting and annoying, frankly. I care about people and you don't. I'm sorry. I'm not done.
My mom on it.
Yeah. We've already covered that ground. You can do whatever you want. I care about people and you don't. That's the argument of the central planner of the thug. Did you see that Ethiopian air crash? It was terrible. There was all these people who were killed. Yes, of course it's terrible. That's the baseline from which we all agree. Now we have to have an adult conversation about how we make decisions in society of 330 million people or 6 billion people, and whether we do so evidence-based or strictly emotion, evidence-free based.
Okay, I'm waiting for the investigation for the Ethiopian air flight to see what they said went wrong. But in the meantime, I don't think they should be flown. I think they should be grounded. And I think the president made the right decision.
I understand. But no, you're not waiting for the investigation.
Oh, I took matters into my own hands. Yeah.
No.
And I got off that flight and got onto an Airbus.
No, you're not waiting for the investigation to demand everything stop. And so I go back again, explain to me the difference if it's, hey, better safe than sorry. I love cliches. I love fortune cookie responses to complicated problems. Then if we better be safe than sorry, then what about the 35,000 people who die on America's roads every day? And if we're going to be safe than sorry, and I can tell you tragic stories about people who've died in car accidents, and do you not care about those people? Because if you cared about those people, we go back to horse and buggies. We'd reduce the speed limit to 5 miles an hour. Now, it may take 6 hours to go 15 miles, but hey, so what? Better safe than sorry. Larry and Bartlett, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. In the last 48 hours, I've heard and seen a number of reports that there is a simple switch right next to the captain's right knee to turn that CMAS on or off. Now, if there is somebody up in that cockpit who doesn't know the purpose of every switch and every indicator on that plane, that guy should not be in the cockpit of the aircraft at all, period.
Well, 5 pilots have written complaints, and they're anonymous. But one said, I'm left to wonder what else I don't know. The flight manual is inadequate and almost criminally insufficient. All airlines that operate the MAX must insist that Boeing incorporate all systems in their manuals. Another person, October, a pilot complained that the MAX 8's auto throttles, which command the plane to accelerate to a set speed within certain parameters, were not working properly, even though the crew had engaged them. The pilot noticed quickly and adjusted the thrust manually to continue to climb. This is a Politico story where they talked to 5 different pilots that complained.
The de-skilling
but
of
I just didn't know that they're
pilots
autopilot when they're on takeoff. That's things you learn.
Tony and Roselle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I was hearing some reports that there was a trail of smoke, metallic grinding noises, and debris, like clothing and stuff trailing the airplane. And so I'm just curious how that factors into CMAS error.
You're talking about the Ethiopian Air flight?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks. Well, we don't wait for evidence anymore. We just rush to make things all better by banning them. We're ostriches. That's how we deal with problems in this world now. Bill in the north suburbs.
Hey, Dan, you're talking about better safe than sorry. Are you talking about Boeing's airplanes, or are you talking about building the wall?
I'm failing to make the connection, so make it for me.
Building the wall, better safe than sorry. How many people have to die in this country before these idiots wake up?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, okay. Thanks for the call, Bill. Right. Better safe than sorry has a lot of applications. Some that some people like when it's convenient and some that they don't when it's inconvenient. So I agree with you. It's sophistry. Tom in Deer Park.
Dan, you're doing it again. You're arguing against the straw man. Now listen, this is why we don't have GMO crops in France, why there's no guns in Australia, and why women don't drive in Saudi Arabia, okay? So get with the program.
They drive now. They're allowed to drive.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tom. But should they be? Because better safe than sorry.
Oh, you can see.
John in Cherville.
Yeah, just a couple comments. Yesterday I had a fairly empty 737 flight to Washington, so the flight attendant was worried about her Boeing stock price. Number 2, the pilot I sat next to said that they've got workarounds. They're not worried about trying to fly a 737 MAX. And third comment, Tim Schneider says hi.
Okay. Thanks for the call, John. There's a lot of disconnected comments, but okay. West Dundee.
Hey,
Alex.
good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I know there's always that statistic about plane crash percentage to car accidents, but I know dozens of people that talk about a car accident. I've been in about 12, and we're still around to talk about them, but I don't know anybody who was in a plane crash and they're around to talk about it.
I do.
So when it goes down, you're a goner.
Well, yeah, generally speaking, that's true. I do, but I still don't understand what your point is. What? Should we eliminate air travel?
The point is, but if there's an issue with this plane, what's the harm in finding out what's going on with it? Or if it's the pilots that aren't trained properly, why take a chance?
Right. Thanks for the call, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Right. Why take a chance? That's not a standard. Why take a chance is boundless. Why take a chance? There's no negative consequences to this sort of categorical action. So these are economic trade-offs we make all of the time. All of the time in life. It's childlike to suggest otherwise. It just flies in the face of the decisions that every one of you make on a daily basis.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Folks,
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from a VA client.
I do have a very close personal friend. Him and his wife were both Army. They did a couple tours. They were denied their VA loan at the 11th hour. They got the carpet pulled from underneath them. So, you hear horror stories like that. With you guys going through the VA process, you guys really did most of the legwork. I mean, just a matter of getting my paperwork in order and making sure you guys had the right documents so that you could push it through, make it happen, and get us the keys to our new home.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender.
It's Amy Jacobson, and I'm so excited to tell you about a deal on the already modestly priced MyPillow Giza Dream Bed Sheets. They use the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in the region between the Sahara Desert, Mediterranean, and Nile River. It's ultra soft, breathable, and extremely durable. I know, because I have a few sets. It includes full 21-inch wide pillowcases that fit any pillow and deep pocket sheets that fit any mattress. And once you sleep on them, you won't want to sleep on anything else. They are the real deal that look good and feel great, which means a better night's sleep. And you can still get the MyPillow 4-pack offer plus 30% off pet beds and mattress toppers. To get the Giza Dream Bed Sheets with 30% off and free shipping, go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code Amy. Or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201. Or MyPillow.com, promo code Amy.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-700-1368. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-700-1368. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-700-1368. 1-800-700-1368.
Have you ever wanted to speak another language? Whether you want to speak Spanish, French, or German, Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons can get you speaking confidently in your new language within weeks.
I just started learning Spanish with Babbel, and it's really helping me with my pronunciation.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? Haha, I got it! I'm amazed how confidently I speak Spanish now. I wish I had tried Babbel sooner.
Babbel's award-winning technology gets you speaking right away. And best of all, you'll remember what you've learned. No wonder Babbel is the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Try it for yourself and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language, like Spanish, German, Portuguese, and more. You can try Babbel for free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and try it for free. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Jim was a 48-year-old husband, father, and business owner. He understood the importance of life insurance to protect his family and business. Jim knew what happened with no life insurance. His own father died, leaving a wife and children with no financial resources. Jim vowed to have enough coverage. He purchased a life insurance policy from NCSF. When Jim lost his life in a tragic car accident, his family grieved. But Jim had planned, and his family and business were financially secure because of life insurance through NCSF. NCSF is a not-for-profit company that provides life insurance and member benefits that commercial carriers do not. Jim was secure in knowing he would provide his family with financial security. He also chose NCSF because of their commitment to give back to communities through philanthropic work. For Jim, NCSF membership was a great fit. Protecting your life matters to NCSF, and it should matter to you. Life insurance can make the road ahead easier for those you leave behind. Visit ncsf.com to learn about their life and annuity products and member benefits. Visit ncsf.com today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dana and Amy, text from 224 responding to Alex from Dundee about the number of car crashes she's been in. Don't drive with Alex, who's been in 12 car accidents. Okay, yeah, that may be good advice.
But he's alive to talk about him, though. So.
Individually specific. Yeah, actually, as I mentioned him, I do know somebody who survived a car crash, a plane crash.
What are the circumstances around?
The one in that Iowa, that fireball down the runway in Iowa.
Yeah, that wasn't a DC-10 or something. They took those out of commission. They don't fly those anymore. Or the DC-9, they're done.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to bring back the Super 80. I'm sure they are. Now that the 737 MAX 8's out of commission.
I'm looking forward to 7 o'clock when we talk to Robert Mark, when you two aviation experts can talk turkey. Really get into the details of aircraft.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say, and if he agrees with the president's decision.
Yeah. Wall Street Journal reporting that Dick's Sporting Goods is throwing in the towel altogether. It's pulling guns from 125 stores around the country. This is sort of a remarkable story. Dick's CEO Ed Stack admits that the decline in sales for Dick's Sporting Goods has been in part due to the chain's stance on guns, which includes the refusal to sell popular semi-automatic rifles and 30-round magazines and the like. He said that has brought about a reality in which, quote, some gun enthusiasts have stopped shopping at the chain. Yeah, I would be one of them. Absolutely. Despite that, he is doubling down. Dick's sales decreased at a time when consumer confidence is the highest it's been in 18 years, and now he is the CEO of Dick's Sporting Goods. I mean, if I'm a shareholder of Dick's, I have to be losing my mind.
Yeah.
This is amazing. You're in business to provide return for shareholders by making a profit, and you're going against your sort of main thing, or at least one of your main things, to serve the political environment, or at least an aspect of the political environment. I mean, it's what's the rationale for Ed Stack to keep his job? It's remarkable to me. So anyway, Dick's is walking away from sales of guns and gun-related materials altogether. So if you haven't walked away from Dick's yet, maybe you should consider it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And just a related story. Unfortunately, we don't have time to get into it right now. We'll have to circle back on it. But very interesting piece in the New York Times, The Black Gun Owner Next Door. It's about how an African-American academic started to re-examine her view on the Second Amendment and gun ownership. It's an interesting piece. Maybe I'll print off a copy and send it to Ed Stack over at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we got a new property tax update. Property tax, North Shore, cinch it up and hunker down North Shore and over to Northwest Suburban Cook, places like Inverness and Barrington. You're in for some rather stark news about your mansions at 606.
And Cook County officials warn residents to pay their property taxes or you're going to get your home sold in May in just a few months. Plus those new text messages that shed light on why Kim Foxx recused herself from the Jussie Smollett case. But now let's get into the newsroom and get all the headlines from here at home and around the world. Perry Williams is in today and tomorrow for Mike Scott. Good morning, Perry.
Here's some of the stories we're following. The University of Illinois says its own admissions scandal may have kept the school out of the most recent admissions scandal. TV star Jussie Smollett is due back in a Chicago courtroom today. Time for an update from Fox News on AM 560 The Answer. WIND Chicago at 6 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. Beto O'Rourke joins the 2020 race for president. I'm Dave Anthony, announcing he is the latest to enter the crowded field, the 12th so far. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the 46-year-old former U.S. congressman from Texas kicking off his campaign in an online video, saying this moment of peril produces perhaps the greatest moment of promise for this country.
The challenges that we face right now, the interconnected crises in our economy, our democracy, and our climate have never been greater.
O'Rourke says he's going to run a positive campaign that seeks to unite a very divided country. A rising star in the Democratic Party, O'Rourke came close to defeating Republican Senator Ted Cruz in the midterms. Dave?
Rachel, President Trump is urging Republican senators not to vote with Democrats today, joining the House blocking his national emergency declaration aimed at building more wall at the border.
Anybody going against border security, drug trafficking, human trafficking, that's a bad vote.
But it appears 5 GOP senators will side with Democratic leader Chuck Schumer.
You ought to stand up to fear. Do the right thing no matter who is in the White House.
Now, President Trump has just tweeted that he's ready to veto the resolution if necessary. The U.S. joined other airlines and countries grounding the type of plane in Sunday's crash, similar to one in Indonesia last year, the Boeing 737 MAX 8 and the MAX 9.
The agency made this decision as a result of the data gathering process and new evidence collected at the site.
Acting FAA Administrator Daniel Elwell says that evidence, together with new satellite data, indicates similarities between the weekend crash of an Ethiopian Airlines jet and the October crash of a Lion Air 737 MAX in Indonesia.
Now, some victims, as Fox's Jared Halpern, some victims' families did meet with Ethiopian Airlines officials today. They say they did not get much information. This is Fox News.
Good morning. Partly cloudy skies. It's 54 degrees in Chicago at 6:02 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Perry Williams. The University of Illinois' own admissions scandal may have kept the school out of the most recent scandal involving how parents got their kids into certain schools. U of I admissions director Andy Borse told WCIA-TV last night that the university made changes to its admission process after a 2009 scandal where lawmakers were funneling students onto campuses. Borse says right now, if a student has been accepted at the University of Illinois, it's because they made it there on their own merit. Jussie Smollett is due back in court today. The Empire actor is facing 16 counts of disorderly conduct over allegations he staged a racist and homophobic attack in Chicago in January. Smollett could enter a not guilty plea. Cameras will be allowed in the courtroom for the hearing. The grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX airliner fleet could cause problems at Chicago's airports. Southwest Airlines removed all 34 of its 737 MAX 8 aircraft from service yesterday at Midway. Those aircraft account for less than 5% of Southwest's daily flights. American Airlines doesn't normally use the 737 MAX on flights through Chicago, but there still could be cancellations at O'Hare in response to the disruption. In spring baseball action, Chad Pinder smacked a 2-run homer as the A's beat the Cubs in a 12-11 slugfest in Mesa, and Preston Tucker hit a 2-run double in the White Sox 10-7 win against the Dodgers in Glendale. This news report is sponsored by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma, here's to progress. AM 560 news time is 6:04. Where are the cars this morning? We'll have the answer in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Do you own or run a thriving business in the Chicagoland area? Have you overcome obstacles to make your business what it is today? If that's your business, then AM 560 wants to tell your story on the AM 560 Business Tour, presented by Signature Bank. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson will be broadcasting live from businesses all around Chicagoland, telling success stories of thriving, successful businesses. Hey, if that's you, tell us about it. Visit 560theanswer.com/business and submit your information. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson. Spring is going to be here soon, and it's the perfect time to take notice of any paint issues. Call the professionals at CertaPro Painters right away to take care of your home. Our front porch and back porches were chipping and peeling, just an eyesore. But CertaPro Painters swooped in and made a huge difference. They also painted a majority of our rooms in our house, the quality, service, and attention to detail like no other paint company. You know, spring is the season of change. Time to change your wall color or exterior and transform your home with an updated new look. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered with in-home color consultation or online with a color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting expert. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
Payroll, bookkeeping, month end. Are you feeling short-staffed? Accountemps can provide accounting and finance professionals on a temporary or project basis when you need them to help with increased workloads. Call them today or visit AccountTemps.com. Accountemps, a Robert Half company.
At 6:06 from the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
In Payless Park, down power lines have 123rd Street blocked between LaGrange Road and 90th Avenue. Lake Zurich, there's crash on eastbound 12 south of Miller Road. Edens Expressway looks good right now. Kennedy inbound, it's tight Harlem to Central. 23 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Von Eisenhower delays are from Manheim to Des Plaines Avenue, Demon to the Burn Circle. 35 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound, 30. Stevenson inbound delays start around Harlem. 42 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Ryan, Savvy from the merge, 79th, crash in the left lane. Then from the Stevenson to the Circle, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 18 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop, 429. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More Chicago's Morning Answer comes your way next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Steve Williams.
A wind advisory for later this morning. Sun and clouds, shower and a heavy thunderstorm and a gusty wind today, high 64. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Shower tonight, low 35. Rain and drizzle tomorrow morning with a high near 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 6:30. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Manapkin runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said when you're moving out.
Dan and Amy, good morning. We've got our latest property tax report regionally. North and North Shore, Cook County. Property taxes driving home values south. Before they fled Illinois, skyrocketing property taxes, Harold and Janet Shea purchased their home in Inverness for $885,000 in July of 2001. It's $1.28 million today. Today's dollars, constant dollars. So that's 2001, 1.28. 4-bedroom, 5-bath, 1.5 acres. Custom touches such as 3-zoned HVAC system, heated garage.
Nice.
They're ready to leave it all behind last May. They listed for $939,000. Remember, they paid $1.28. We're talking constant dollars here. They listed for $939,000. They finally sold February 15th, just last month, $754. Paid $1.28 18 years ago. They sold for $754, $526,000 loss. During that time, 15 years roughly, they paid $245,000 in property taxes. Last year's bill was double what they paid when they first bought the house.
How much did they pay last year in property taxes?
Nearly $20,000.
Okay.
$20,000 on a $754,000 house.
That's a lot of money.
Substantial.
That's not proportionate to what's going on in my neighborhood, but
But by contrast, they sold for $754,000. The $20,000 tax bill. They bought a 2-bedroom, where they moved, Avon, Colorado. There is a 2-bedroom condo currently for sale. $742,000, substantially the same price.
what's the property taxes though?
Yeah, that the
That's gonna
Shays
make us move west. Yeah,
$742,000 in Avon, $754,000, $20,000 in Inverness, $742,000 in Avon, $2,700 tax bill.
I mean that's just such a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
How about Kenilworth? 33 North Cook counties we looked at. 14 have effective property tax higher than the state average, which is more than twice the national average. Inverness and Kenilworth actually top the list. 3.12% is the property tax rate as a percentage of home value. That's nearly 3 times the national average. Let's do a Kenilworth one. Larry and Susan Miller's 6-bedroom Georgian, 1 block from Lake Michigan in Kenilworth. This has been on for sale nearly 2 years. They're asking $3.295. The property tax bill last year was $58,000. 2 blocks away, Kenilworth, asking $2.875 million. Property tax bill $64,000. Median sale price over the last 6 months of 2018 in Kenilworth, $858,000, down from a peak of $1.77 million in 2007. Yeah, 2007 top of the market, but $2.197 million really is in constant dollars. Top of the market in 2007, but think about this: $2.197 million in 2007 median home sale price in Inverness. In 2018, it was $858,000. That's almost a 3-fold reduction.
Wow.
In 12 years. Pretty substantial. Here's the deals. Inverness, Kenilworth, about 3% plus effective tax rate percentage of home value. Bartlett, Palatine, Buffalo Grove, Glencoe, Streamwood, Prospect Heights, Elgin, Hoffman Estates, Barrington Hills, Hanover Park, Rolling Meadows, Schaumburg, Mount Prospect, Wheeling, Arlington Heights, Roselle, Elk Grove Village, South Barrington all have property tax rates as a percentage of home value twice the national average and above the state average. As somebody opined, all those liberals, particularly in the North Shore, who have the "hate has no home here" signs, should replace those signs with "equity has no home here." Here, and I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who's an attorney on the North Shore. He's like, I read your property tax stuff. I listen to you talk about this home values impact. I talk to people, and I think they just don't want to confront it.
No, they just roll it into their mortgage. Oh my God, what do you call it? So they don't even see their property tax bill.
No, I think
a lot of them don't.
No, I think what he's saying is they put their heads in the sand. They're taking the ostrich approach to this problem. They are either fatalistic, don't think there's anything can be done, so they don't want to think about it because it's upsetting, or they are locked into the home, so they can't go anywhere, so they just have to sort of hope against hope that things get better. But they don't want to confront the problem. It's remarkable. I don't know if that's what they suggest to their children as well, that the way to deal with problems is to ignore them and hope they go away. But that's essentially the posture that's been taken by so many. Because this isn't a new story. So people know. A lot of people know. More people know than admit they know.
Even if they escrow their taxes, you still get a property tax bill to your house. But still, yeah, they just ignore it. You're right. They don't want to know.
They just
sometimes I don't want to know either.
They
Dan.
don't want to deal with it. They know is my point. They don't want to deal with it. I mean, is that what you see? 312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA turnkey.pro text line. I don't want to deal with it because I can't do anything about it. Or I'm just going to be hopeful that things get better somehow, some way. Meanwhile, I'm going to vote for the same things to ensure they don't get better. Remarkable. I don't know. I don't get it.
Crazy.
Oh, by the way, there's nothing you can do about it? Yeah, I mean, there's municipal elections on April 2nd. You know, like school boards. I mean, there's a big referendum in Hinsdale. You going to vote against your home equity again in Hinsdale?
And that's April 2nd?
Yeah. Actually, it's not against, not vote against it again because Hinsdale turned back the school referendum, District 86 referendum in November. And then the school's coming right back at you in April to try and
do it again?
Pass it with a different, smaller electorate. So are you going to just say, oh, there's nothing I can do? Well, there are things you can do. There are things you can do every day and every election cycle. And I don't just mean, yes, put your house on the market. I get that.
And in an ancillary issue, but still about property taxes, Maria Pappas, the economic guru that she is, Cook County Treasurer came out yesterday saying that if you don't pay your property taxes, your home stands a chance of being auctioned off in May. May 3rd is the deadline.
Oh, yeah.
Here, ready
tax
for her
sales.
quote?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, there are more parcels this year on the tax sale list than there has ever been ever before. Gee, I wonder why. More than 3,000 of the 57,000 properties, Dan, are in Alderman Kerry Austin's 34th Ward.
Tony and Roselle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I was just trying to plug in some constant dollars from my home purchase 18 years ago. What is 175 equate to in today's dollars from the year 2000?
I'm busy, so Dan will have to do the math.
Maybe it's 275 to 300, somewhere in there.
So I'm actually underwater as well. My taxes have doubled. Interesting.
Roselle's effective tax rate, median sale price $232,000. That's 2018. Median sale price $232,000. Median tax bill $5,100. That's 2.23% of home value. Thanks for the call, Tony.
High. That is ridiculous.
Jeff in Berwyn.
Greetings, Dan and Amy. Your previous caller, he wants to know how much. Go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics inflation calculator.
No, okay.
Also, the way you kill Governor Doughboy's graduated income tax scheme, tie it to the repeal of the clause in the Illinois Constitution that prohibits reduction in public employee benefits and pensions.
Well, yes, that would be a way to kill it. Thanks for the call, Jeff. Unfortunately, that amendment to whatever the Democrats proposed in the General Assembly would not be voted out of the General Assembly for the 2020 ballot. So they're just going to go ahead and leverage their supermajorities to put the straight-up graduated state income tax on the ballot. We don't do the spend reform piece. We only do the revenue increase piece. And again, this is there's nothing we can do. Nothing will change. It's funny, the Democrats don't take that attitude, do they?
No, they don't.
Nothing, anything on the spend side, that's not possible. That's never going to happen. Anything on the extraction side, of course, that'll happen. I mean, do you understand the culture that says, of course, they can amend the Constitution, graduate state income tax, tax retirement income, financial transaction tax, city income tax. Of course they can. Oh, yeah, sure, that'll happen. Anything on the spend side, that's impossible. I don't even want to think about it. I don't understand that attitude. It's just crazy. We can't do anything on the spend. 1% hard cap on property tax. That's ridiculous. No. Crazy talk. All those other taxes I just ticked off, driving people out of the state? Oh, sure, of course, that's possible. Even likely. Nick in Willowbrook.
Hey there. Just calling to let you know the good news. Going to medical school in Des Moines, Iowa in July, and I have no plans on coming back if they don't change the financial situation around here.
No?
Good. You'll love Des Moines.
I will.
Really,
I'm
you
looking
will.
forward to it.
The Riverwalk School, it's a nice town.
What kind of doctor are you going to be, Nick?
I'm thinking maybe anesthesiology or a urologist, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right, very good. Good luck, Nick. Thanks for the call.
Thanks for listening. Good luck to you. Go Hawks.
And that's an example of the brain drain that's real. The brain drain is real. Young, successful guy going to be successful doctor. Susan in Frankfurt.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. You're looking about the houses that are very expensive up north. You go out south to where I'm in Frankfurt, and you've got a $100 million high school that sits there that is not being utilized at all. The politicians, nobody knows what to do with it. Then you go over to Park Forest, which is a struggling town. You've got homes there that are $60,000 with a $5,000 tax bill.
Oh yeah.
You go to Flossmoor. It's absolutely ludicrous because you think about the person that's going to qualify for a home that is $60,000 is a much, and to me, that's someone that's just starting out, and they don't have a lot of cash. $60,000, that's, you think, wow, that's a great price for a house. And then you slap on the tax bill and the house becomes unaffordable. Because of that, the entire town is either rentals or Section 8s. It's just, the town it used to be, I want to say an exact surely, but it used to be it got voted like town of the year or something along those lines. And the taxes have gotten so bad, nobody wants to live there. I personally lived there in Park Forest at one point, had a house for $80,000, sold it for $85,000. The difference in tax bill in just 6 years went from a $2,000 tax bill to a $4,000 tax bill. It doesn't sound like a huge amount, but when you're talking someone that's probably not making an income much more than about $60,000, that's a huge income. My husband and I were very blessed. He got a better job. We moved to Frankfurt. Thought, great, life's good. Then they built this beautiful school, Lincoln Way North, and it's sitting there doing nothing. There's all these other schools that have infrastructure problems, and what does our school board does that nobody pays attention to? They go and they close the school and make all the kids go to the older school that is 65 years old, and now we've got this beautiful school that just sits there. Right. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, Susan, thanks for the call. We've talked a lot about it, but that's a great story, personal story about the migration from South Cook County, which has been destroyed, the Southland, destroyed by property taxes and concentration of Section 8 housing. And now it's happening everywhere because you can't run away from the math. So you can't hide in Will County, just like you can't hide on the North Shore or anywhere else. But that's exactly right, that story. And then, again, the school districts, right? Most areas, that's the supermajority of your property tax bill. And do you want to help Zach Model, manufacturing executive, trying to fight the fight in Hinsdale? Nutrier Neighbors trying to fight the fight on the North Shore? There are organizations and people that are actually putting in the fight. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to be the only person out there, but you have to contribute. And as I've said before, as long as you're going to stay for as long as you do stay, why not put in the fight? It's worth it, isn't it? Is your home worth it to you? I don't know. Get some of these knuckleheads off your local school board. It's not even an R&D thing. It's based on the merits thing and these nonpartisan local elections. Don't say you can't do anything. You can do something. Dave in Lamont.
Yes, sir. You asked the question, do people stick their heads in the sand concerning this issue of the skyrocketing property taxes on houses? And in a certain way, I have to admit I do, because, where I live, I happen to be a bricklayer. I built my house. It's personal to me. I like my neighbors. There's a hill I jog up and down. It's my community. I know people. I know the mechanic. I work in the Chicago area. It's home.
Yeah.
And really, just to speak to the emotional component of this, but really think about it with these skyrocketing property taxes. You know what they're doing to us, working people? They're stealing. They're stealing. They've declared war on us. They're stealing. We work our whole lives to pay off our houses. They're stealing it from us. And people, God bless policemen, firemen, school teachers. This is not against you guys personally, but the organizations you work for at the very top, the politicians, because of the pension problem, they've declared civil war on us, a financial civil war. And it's, to really think about it and confront it, it's so upsetting. I don't want to go there. So I'd stick my head in the sand, but I'm going to have to go there. I'm going to have to join an organization that fights these taxes or something. I mean, it's terrible. It's a crime against the citizenry. That's what it is.
Well said, Dave.
Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. But I mean, that's it. So if it's a civil war, it's not going to be much of one if there's only one side fighting. Just something to think about. I don't know what people want to do. Illinois baffles me. I got to tell you. Sean in Elmwood Park.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it, when you hear and you realize the devastation to working people? And the reality is it's a shame, but we have no ammunition because the system is corrupted. It protects itself. It's hard to realize you're a slave. But we're slaves. We have no representation. Where are the Illinois Republicans? This is the same theme that this station has and other stations that realize the problem. The people like Dave who are working for their houses and are being robbed have no way to fight back. You're going to join an organization. That's great. We got a bunch of miserable people in a room complaining, and you're still helpless because Durkin is cleaning the lint out of his belly button as he's waiting for his corrupt checks to roll in. This is why you have no alternative. Let the bank take it. See who buys it because there's nobody at the other end. It's kind of like that kid, anesthesiologist or urologist. Pick the right end, kid, because one needs gloves.
Thanks, Sean.
And I was going to ask him if he's going to be a proctologist, and I'll leave that alone.
Yeah, great medical advice for that. Yeah. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, Dan, Amy. Hey, listen, I've got a guy at work. We were just talking about it. He had a house in Joliet and everything. That $4,000 taxes. He sold it. He's bought a house in Arkansas for $135,000. Bigger house, 4 acres, and everything. That about $500 taxes. He's out here. My son, was a plumber in Chicago and everything, making $100,000. He just sold his house just in the last month. Sold his house in Oklahoma and everything. Moved to Michigan. I'm in the process of talking to my wife, talking her into it. We're looking to get the heck out of here because all the the taxes. I mean, and you can't sell your house at a profit anymore. Yeah, they're ruining things.
Thanks for the call, Craig.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Mary, the child you bear will become the greatest of men.
From the network that brought you the Bible.
There has been talk about Jesus. They say he's healing the sick.
Comes the life of Jesus Christ.
His preaching is what concerns me.
He's helping people.
From those who knew him best.
We are his followers. We've seen him do wondrous things. I am the resurrection and the life.
Jesus, his life. Monday, March 25th at 8 on History.
Well, all this rain has to go somewhere, and hopefully not in your basement or crawl space. Did you know that winter is the best time to waterproof your basement or crawl space? With Permaseal's flexible scheduling, financing options, along with their price assurance guarantee, there is no need to wait for the ground to thaw to fix the problem. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325, or schedule your free estimate with one of their certified consultants. They will inspect your foundation inside and out and provide you with a dependable solution. Water and structural problems do not go away. In fact, they will only get worse over time. And since 1979, homeowners all over Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana have trusted Permaseal. They are a Chicago Tribune top workplace and have twice received a Better Business Bureau Torch Award for marketplace ethics. You can feel confident calling the best for a dry basement and healthy home. You know who to call. Permaseal, 1-800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325. Or visit permaseal.net.
My neighbors always ask me, hey, Pete, how do you keep your yard so nice?
Pete makes it simple with a Scott's Turf Builder feeding program. It's the best way to get the yard you want all year long, guaranteed. All it takes is 4 easy feedings. Just once in early spring, late spring, summer, and fall. Providing nutrition and weed control to keep your lawn lush and green.
So, now you know my secret.
This is a Scott's Yard. Pick up a Scott's Turf Builder program today.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results may vary. See website for details.
But hey, I'm buying a huge flat screen TV so I can finally see it without my glasses.
Why not just get LASIK at the LASIK Vision Institute?
That's what I'm doing.
My glasses and contacts are a pain. I'd love to finally get rid of these, but who can afford LASIK?
You can. Because the LASIK Vision Institute is offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. Just text TRY to 350-350. The LASIK Vision Institute has already performed over 1 million procedures. They use the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for a fraction of what others charge. Better vision, better value. The LASIK Vision Institute. Make this the year you finally get LASIK. For a free consultation plus an extra 20% discount, text TRY to 350-350. You'll see for free if LASIK is right for you. That's TRY to 350-350.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
What's a ruling class elite to do? How should we change college admissions, if at all? Make it more meritocratic or more redistributionist? At 6:36.
And later, the text messages that shed light on why Kim Foxx recused herself from the Jussie Smollett case. But first, let's get back into that newsroom. Here's Perry Williams, who's in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. Partly cloudy skies. It's 52 degrees in Chicago at 6:30 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Perry Williams. New information is being revealed about the investigation into the alleged attack on Empire actor Jussie Smollett in Chicago. Emails and text messages show Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx asked Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson to turn over the probe to the FBI. The request came after Foxx was contacted by Smollett supporter Tina Chen. The former chief of staff of First Lady Michelle Obama said the actor's family had unspecified concerns about the investigation. Foxx also exchanged texts with a relative of Smollett, which was the reason given for why she recused herself from the actor's prosecution for disorderly conduct charges. In other news, a teenage boy is charged with involuntary manslaughter in the accidental shooting death of a 13-year-old this past weekend on Chicago's South Side. Police say the 14-year-old was playing with a gun Saturday inside a house near 73rd and Aberdeen when the firearm went off, hitting Dion Williams in the head. Williams died less than an hour later. The 14-year-old surrendered to authorities yesterday morning after being identified as the shooter. In college basketball action, Notre Dame lost 75-53 to Louisville in the second round of the ACC tournament. DePaul was defeated 82-74 by St. John in the Big East tournament. Today, Northern Illinois plays Toledo in the quarterfinals of the Mid-American Conference tournament. This news report is sponsored by Accountemps. Payroll, bookkeeping, month end. Are you feeling short-staffed? Accountemps can provide accounting and finance professionals on a temporary or project basis when you need them to help with increased workloads. Call them today or visit Accountemps.com. Accountemps, a Robert Half company. AM 560 News Time is 6:33. How bad is traffic? We'll have the answer in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Dennis Prager finds substance in Trump.
The elites love form. They love you to sound sophisticated in the NPR way, a certain monotone which betrays a little emotion. As my wife put it, Obama had form without substance. This president has substance without form.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family?
Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-700-1368. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-700-1368. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-700-1368. 1-800-700-1368.
Check out Ground Game, the latest podcast from the Associated Press discussing the top political issues around the country. Available on Apple Podcasts.
At 6:35 from the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
Flight boards at O'Hare show more than 80 cancellations this morning. There are 22 canceled flights at Midway. Palos Park, 123rd, remains closed between LaGrange Road and 90th Avenue due to downed power lines. Inbound Edens, 22 minutes, Lake Cook Junction, outbound 19. Kennedy, looking at 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 11 from Montrose, 8 in the Express. Outbound 25 minutes to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower delays start around Manheim. 40 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 31. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Our delays from Weber to near 355 for the crash. Ryan is 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 22 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 33. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More Chicago's Morning Answer comes your way next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Steve Williams.
A wind advisory later this morning. Sun and clouds, shower and a heavy thunderstorm. Winds gusting past 45 miles per hour, high 64. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Shower tonight, low 35. Rain and drizzle tomorrow morning with a daytime high at 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 7 o'clock. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. What should be done to change college admissions? Anything? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Should we make it more redistributionist? That's the posture of the left, the champagne socialists, the ruling elites. I'm sure many of the people that were ensnared and indicted in this college admission scandal, right? Redistribution. They're fine. Higher taxes, set-asides for minority contractors, set-asides for women-owned businesses, other examples of quotas. So what about at the collegiate level, particularly those premium colleges, those marquee names that are so in demand among the elites? What about redistributing away from the elites to people with less means? I mean, really marginalizing them. That's one way to go.
It would be refreshing, but I don't see that ever happening in my lifetime.
Well, right,
I'm
because
just so angry about this whole situation. It's the worst kind of preferential treatment. It's the rich keep getting richer. I know that's cliche, but the rich keep getting what they want, and they don't care that they take spots away from lower income, poor minority students. The people that they supposedly care about.
Well, this is what's interesting, right?
It's such a hypocrisy.
What this scandal reveals is what the rich really care, what some of the rich, particularly the rich left, care about. They pay lip service. Oh, we care about, poor people in Haiti or whatever.
Immigrants near the border.
Right.
They're suffering.
What they really care about.
Screw you.
What they really care about is their kids getting into elite universities, getting that credential, and being part of that network.
Yeah, part of the social circle. How shameful would it be if her daughter didn't get into USC? And of course, I'm talking about Laughlin, who was in court yesterday, and the judge sent $1 million bond to send her a message. And I hope she goes to jail. And where are these people's mug shots, by the way? So I got this artist rendition of her standing in the courtroom looking sad with her glasses on. Make her suffer. Make her twist in the wind a little bit. All these people.
What if Stanford focused on admitting people from rural areas? Because people from rural areas, geographically, there's an underrepresentation. And that resulted in some of the wealthy, the elite, their kids not going to Stanford. Just in the interest of fairness. What people deserve, the words that are often bandied about by the left in every other sector. Not when it comes to universities. Because that credential and entrance into that society, those networks, is important. That's what's important to the rich, which is why they'll engage in criminal behavior to advance juniors' interests and entrance. They'll stoop to the levels that we're stooped to here, where they pretend to be soccer players and rowers and
sailors.
Right.
But I still think there's a difference between the kids that didn't know what was going on and the kids that were, part of this scheme, that they actually let their moms take pictures of them in a crew outfit or in a soccer uniform.
Yeah, but right. So let's take it in total.
Yeah,
rather than picking, trying to pick off a good piece in National Review on this. There are lots of people reposing on yachts who didn't do anything to deserve their wealth. There are lots of people at the top of the list for a spot at Harvard who didn't do anything to deserve their intelligence. They're just born that way. Sure, lots of them may have taken their education seriously, cultivated their gifted minds, and lots of born rich millionaires manage their money very responsibly and philanthropically. But so what? Those are not considerations for the left when it comes to other policies. Why should it be a consideration when it comes to college admissions? Kind of interesting thought. So how should college admissions work? Meritocracy or redistribution? Or sort of a hybrid? Meritocracy, but if you're connected you connect yourself with money, then you can override the meritocracy. How do you want to do it? Do you even care? Do you care where your kids go to college? Or do you care that these kids one-up your kid? Do you care that Chinese nationals, and this is not targeting Chinese or saying anything about that, but do you care a state land-grant university like University of Illinois, we talked about this yesterday, is turning away kids it was created to serve, to educate, in favor of foreign nationals? Doesn't matter, it just happens to be Chinese, doesn't matter where they're coming from, in favor of foreign nationals who pay full freight. That Illinois, University of Illinois, and the system is not keeping its end of the bargain. You care about that? We've got a bunch of emails yesterday about that. Let me see if I can dig them up. But the flip side is the meritocracy. We could do college admissions, particularly for public universities, although most private universities take public funds, so that's your way in. College admissions generally for every school not named Hillsdale. Like the CSO does tryouts to be a member of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
How do they do that with the
screen?
So you just hear.
You come out, you play the cello. You're judged on how you can play the cello, because all the judges do is hear your playing the cello. You can either play.
Greatest idea ever.
Oh, right. You
judged on your merits and your talent.
You can either nail, box Brandon Burke concertos, or you can't. Don't care what you look like. Don't care where you're from. Don't care who your dad is. Don't care what your net worth is. You could do that in college admissions. In fact, a decade ago when I ran for governor, I proposed this. This was against the backdrop of the U of I admissions scandal. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember it.
And it's real simple. Every application is randomly assigned a number. And when it goes before the admissions committee, all you see is the number. You don't know the name. And you don't know the race. And you don't know the city, state. You don't know anything except the substance of the academic and extracurricular record. Because it's a number with that record.
And no gender, right?
No gender. What do
No
we
race.
do? We care that 60% of BAs are earned by women today? Do we care? I don't, frankly. I mean, except that there's a drive to achieve this. That there's the continued propaganda that there's somehow women are falling behind, particularly in higher education. That's just a lie. But I don't care. I don't care if the entire graduating class at Northwestern is from, our people of Nigerian descent. Who cares? I don't care. The record and a number, and that's the basis on which you make a judgment. We could do it that way.
What USC has done, they announced this a few hours ago. They're not accepting any applicants to the admissions cheating scheme that was anybody that was through the key. Anybody who applied through that website, they're denying their applications.
Oh,
wow. Real heroic of them.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. Cindy and Joliet, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Hi, Amy. I certainly don't condone any of the behaviors these parents do, and it's just not Hollywood. I've seen parents, both my kids are college graduates. They've been out of school 10 years. I'm getting up there in years, and I'm still paying off my student loans, for my degrees. But I don't applaud what they're doing, but I see it at every level. If they're not complaining about this or complaining about the coach, and I hope that coach's girl is so fat she can't get on the cheerleading team and all this animosity because your kid can't be number one with everything they do. I know very few kids that went to the major leagues or the NFL, but yet the parents get on this track. They think their kids are destined for greatness because of what the parents do. And as a parent of grown adult children now with college degrees, if I could do one thing over, it would have been let them fall on their butt a few times so they could learn to be problem solvers in a bigger way, not that they're not, bigger way of problem solver, and a little more resilient when life slaps you in the face with that dead fish. Because there's too much mommy fix this, or what do I do now? And, it's pervasive.
Thanks for the call, Cindy. Appreciate it. Here's one of the comments from U of I. I have a son who's a varsity athlete, 28 ACT, 3.5 GPA. Pretty good. I mean, he's not perfect. He could have done better in schooling, but he does have other pulls on his time, things like sports, working a retail job. He applied to a bunch of good schools. Well, one of them was Iowa. So
Hey.
Iowa, Iowa State, Indiana, Marquette. The only school he didn't get into was good old U of I at Champaign. So the state is so broke they take everyone from overseas to pay the huge tuition and leave out all the local kids. Then they wonder why the kids go to school out of state and choose to stay away after college. Well, there's lots of reasons, but yeah, that's one example of what I'm talking about. Here's another one. My son didn't get into the engineering school at U of I with a 35 ACT and 1550 SAT.
Wow.
Wow.
You can't really do much better than that.
That's like
35 ACT and he didn't get in?
99th percentile. I mean, he was one away from perfection on the ACT and 50 points away on the SAT. He had 5 on APs for computer and electrical engineering.
Was he volunteering enough?
Also, the father in question who emailed me is an alumnus of U of I and's paid full freight there for 3 other siblings. That I can understand. You put together that record. The kid puts together that record. He wants to go to U of I, like the old man did, other kids did, and he's got the chops, obviously. And you're getting bumped at a land grant university. The charter demanded prioritization for Illinois families. It's a problem. That's not fair. I understand why people are upset about that. They should be. They absolutely should be. So again, what's the system? What's the admission system we should have? Steve in Hinsdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan and Amy, relative to private religious and non-religious colleges, they should be able to admit anybody they want. It's nobody else's business. Tom Monahan started his Christian school, Ave Maria. It started in Ann Arbor, it's now down in Naples. Hell, if he wants to admit his whole family to law school,
Steve, you're talking about.
Stay out of it.
You're talking past the issue. Nobody's talking about private universities that don't accept public funds. Nobody's talking about that.
No, people are. This happened to private universities.
Yeah.
Georgetown and Yale are private.
Yeah, except the problem, Steve, is, as you know, is Georgetown and Yale accept all kinds of federal dollars. So if you're going to take federal research grants and you're going to take federal student aid, then you've let the federal government in. So you're no longer truly private.
Disagree.
No.
I totally disagree. Keep the federal government out of it at private schools.
Yeah, keep
out of it. We don't need them in it, Dan.
Well, then tell the.
keep them out of it.
See you, Steve. Then tell the federal government. Tell the schools to tell the federal government to take a hike. We don't want your money. You can't have it both ways. I'm going to take your money, but I'm not going to abide the strictures that come with it. Doesn't work that way, Steve. So no, I'm not going to stay out of it. Hillsdale is staying out of it, if you want an example. And frankly, we're talking about land-grant public universities like U of I. So I'm still want an answer to the question that Steve from Hinsdale was talking past. A little too smart for his own good, Steve in Hinsdale, sometimes. Because there's no questions about U of I, is there, Steve in Hinsdale? So tell me how that admission system should work. Another text. Son Joe declined for U of I engineering, got into West Point. Really?
That's awesome. Good.
I mean, come on. Mike on the north side.
Hey, good morning. Amy raised a point, and it's stuck in my craw. These kids now have to do volunteer time to graduate private or public high schools in Illinois, and I think that's BS. Like, look at the kid you were talking about that didn't get into the U of I. If you're going to put that much work into getting a 35 on the ACT, and then you're going to make the kid give up his time, his free time, to go volunteer, to go, clean some school in some neighborhood or tutor someone else. I mean, there's too much pressure put on these kids. Let them have a little free time. I mean, my daughter's a senior in high school. She doesn't even watch TV anymore because the school load is so heavy. Give these kids a little bit of a break.
All right, thanks for the call,
I have
Mike.
people missing basketball practice because they need to go into selective enrollment, possible principal discretion, so they need to be out volunteering, or else they're not going to get in. Like, okay, find some other time. Schedule your time, people.
Ed in Oak Brook.
Yeah, I can't believe that last caller. He feels sorry for his daughter, can't watch TV. How pathetic is that? But anyway, this whole college situation is corrupt from every school down. Maybe not your Hinsdale or the one that you keep talking about. But the thing is, these people wonder why they have such high student debts. They can't connect that the schools have been abusing them with their books, the professors that are so overpaid, and then when they get their pension, they take off and they laugh at everybody. No, if you want to correct this problem, fire all the admission people, and that's what they should have done with Illinois. I don't know what they did over there. But you know what? The whole thing is corrupt from start to... Why are these professors tenure? Why? And then you get some idiots out in California saying, kill the president, blah, 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 and you can't even touch these people? Do you guys have that? I don't think so, Dan. But anyway, keep up the fight. And next time you get these crybabies talking about their taxes, ask them who they voted for.
Yeah, I hear you.
Let them whine, and then ask them, who did you vote for? Like, look at Hinsdale. They're all crying over there. But you know what? They had Sean Casten signs, and what they really voted for was Pelosi. So I have no love for Hinsdale at all. I wish the place would fall in the ocean. Have a nice day.
Okay, all right. Border war between Oak Brook and Hinsdale brewing. Thanks.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Verizon adding 5G service in 2 major cities. Walt Disney World raising ticket prices again. Almost 900,000 Fiat Chrysler vehicles recalled. Those stories next.
G'day, I'm Scott from Plug-in Pest Free. I want to personally thank all my Plug-in Pest Free customers who've taken the time out to call, write, and who have left messages to thank me for ridding their homes and businesses of unwanted rodent and pest problems. So from me to you, I thank you. Plug-in Pest Free is the only scientifically tested and, more importantly, consumer-proven electromagnetic pest management system since 1995. Why put up with those annoying rodents and pests any longer? Plug-in Pest Free is 100% chemical-free, making it your safest bet to manage your rodent and pest problems around your family and pets. With a 60-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. So order yours today at gopestfree.com. Use promo code SAVE20 for 20% off and free shipping. That's gopestfree.com, promo code SAVE20. Don't spray and regret. Plug in and forget. Gopestfree.com today.
Verizon has launched the first 5G mobile services in Chicago and Minneapolis at an additional cost of $10 a month for existing customers. That 5G platform offers data speeds up to 50 to 100 times faster than rivals' 4G networks. The self-styled most magical place on earth boosting prices again. Walt Disney World in Florida this week raising single-day theme park tickets to $219. And guests at Disney World hotels will no longer get free overnight parking. Hotel garages now charging $24 a night. Fiat Chrysler recalling nearly 900,000 of its vehicles in the United States because they don't meet emission standards. The voluntary recall includes 2011 through 2016 Dodge Journey models. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
My friends who send their sons to Northridge Prep rave how refreshing it is to partner with a school that reinforces the traditional values they hold as parents. Here's a current Northridge Prep mom had to say. As parents, we don't have a manual. A lot of the teachers here have seen years of boys. They're comforting. They share their knowledge and guidance and are willing to work with you. They're not judging. There's no looking at a boy and saying they were rambunctious. They've seen it all. It's nice to partner with a school that wants the best for your son and is on the same page. I truly feel if I have a question, concern, or issue, there's always someone ready to listen and suggest ways I can help him at home and how they can support him. It's a great community of parents who are all in the same boat and feel the same way. You walk in and feel your son is taken care of. There's a warmth and a trust that comes from being a part of this community. Northridge Prep's open house is right around the corner on April 7th. Again, Sunday, April 7th. Don't miss it. Register online today at northridgeprep.org. That's northridgeprep.org.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-211-0448. 800-211-0448. Don't wait. Call now. 800-211-0448. 800-211-0448.
One of the most frustrating aspects of running a business today is dealing with technology. It's wonderful when it all works, but what about when it's not? IT, networks, computers, yuck. You just want to run your business, and hiring an IT department is out of the question, or is it? Listen up, for only $795 per month, you can eliminate the hassle of IT and computer issues if you hire Turnkey IT. It'll be like having your own in-house IT department, but better. Turnkey IT makes it happen. They make it secure. They make it smart. You'll be set up for success and not have to deal with all the technical issues that can overwhelm a business. Turnkey becomes your IT department, and they'll help you with your daily IT issues, plus set you up with preventative steps to keep your business going. Have Turnkey do a complimentary network audit of your systems, even if you have a current IT company, so you know where you stand with technology. Leave the technical stuff to the pros so you can focus on the important things. Visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, why the 737 MAX X was grounded. And later, those text messages from Kim Fox to Jussie Smollett's family member. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Mike Scott's off sick for the next few days. If we think he has the flu, we're wishing him the best. So we welcome Perry Williams, who joins us from the newsroom. Good morning, Perry.
Here's some of the stories we're following. Add Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker to the list of Midwestern governors who are fighting a plan to cut federal lake cleanup dollars. An investigation is underway after a man was found shot to death in a motel room on Chicago's South Side. Time for an update from Fox News on AM 560 The Answer. WIND Chicago, it's 7 o'clock.
Another Democrat is in the 2020 race. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Beto O'Rourke.
I'm running to serve you as the next president of the United States of America.
He's the 12th Democrat to formally announce a White House bid in a video this morning.
This is going to be a positive campaign that seeks to bring out the very best from every single one of us, that seeks to unite a very divided country.
A former congressman from Texas, O'Rourke got a lot of attention in 2018, nearly unseating Republican Senator Ted Cruz. The black box flight recorders from the Ethiopian Airlines plane that crashed Sunday are now in France to be analyzed. It was the second crash in 5 months involving a Boeing 737 MAX 8 jet. And the day after the U.S. joined other countries and airlines grounding the MAX 8 and MAX 9. Fox's Evan Brown's live at Miami's airports.
Now, Dave, this is a big hub for American Airlines. It flies passengers from here, not just around the nation, but around the world, really. And it's where its fleet of 737 MAX 8 and MAX 9 jets are based. American says service interruptions would be minimal. And here on the flight board, just a couple of flights are listed as canceled, and those are destinations normally serviced by the MAX jets, like a flight that would normally depart this hour to New York's LaGuardia. While the terminal here is busy, it is not chaotic, and the long security line is moving at a good pace, Dave.
Evan, the Senate may vote today to block President Trump's national emergency declaration.
Our Republican friends know the right thing to do. They should not be afraid to do it.
5 GOP senators may side with Democratic leader Chuck Schumer to help pass the resolution. President Trump tweeted this morning he's prepared to issue his first veto, calling the southern border a national security and humanitarian nightmare. Millions of Americans can check their news feeds and message and post pics again now that an hours-long outage Facebook and Instagram is over. Both social media companies back up and running. Facebook posted on Facebook at about 2 a.m. It's good to be back. This is Fox News.
Good morning. Partly cloudy skies. It's 55 degrees in Chicago at 7:02 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Perry Williams. Add Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker to the list of Midwestern governors who are fighting a plan to cut federal lake cleanup dollars. Pritzker yesterday joined governors from Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Ohio in opposing part of President Trump's budget that would slash Great Lakes cleanup funding from $300 million a year down to $30 million. In other news, an investigation's underway after a man was found shot to death in a motel room on Chicago's South Side. Police say the man was discovered early this morning in a motel near 100th and Halstead. He had been shot multiple times in the chest and was pronounced dead at the scene. No arrests have been made. In sports news, the Blackhawks jumped out to a 5-0 lead, but had to weather a late Maple Leafs onslaught to win 5-4 in Toronto. Blackhawk winger Brendan Perlini says they'll see where they stand when the dust settles.
1 week we're in it, 1 week out of it, then back in it again. Yeah. So it's just stay there till the very end, till the final game goes, and whatever happens, happens. Just know that you gave it your everything and worked hard.
Goalie Corey Crawford left after 2 periods due to illness. Colin Delia made 26 saves on 29 shots, all in the third. The Hawks are 4 points out of a wild card spot in the Western Conference. This news report is sponsored by Staples. Staples has the supplies you need to run your business like a boss. Now save $100 on the Epson EcoTank 4750 printer with up to 2 years worth of ink included. Plus, trade in your old printer in-store and save an additional $50 while supplies last. Ends March 16th. Staples. AM 560 News Time is 7:04. Where are the cars this morning? We'll have the answer in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Dr. Howard, founder and formulator of Balance of Nature. We're changing America, one life at a time.
I was having a lot of pain in my right hip, and it was causing my leg to be numb below my knee from the hip all the way down. I wasn't getting any sleep. So on top of it, I'm tired, I'm sleep deprived because I'm in pain and I'm not sleeping. So I decided to start taking these things, and the pain is gone virtually. I mean, at 90%, maybe 95%. It was just amazing.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself by using discount code CHICAGO.
The price of fruits and vegetables is going up. Call now to see how you can lock in your price of fruits and vegetables for an entire year and get free shipping on every order. Call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Another school year is about to wrap up, and you need to start thinking about what activities your son or daughter will be involved with during summer break. You want them to have fun this summer, but at the same time have some structure to be prepared for the next school year. Introduce them to St. John's Northwestern Experience in the beautiful Lake Country region of southeast Wisconsin with summer OPS, opportunities for personal success. 5 intensive weeks of learning and training. Young men and women grades 7 to 12 get an opportunity to advance academically in the structured and supportive environment of a military boarding school, and at the same time be involved in an exciting summer adventure camp that inspires personal growth through a commitment to excellence in academics, leadership skills, spiritual and character development, and athletics and wellness. Camp St. John's Northwestern for your son or daughter with full boarding or day camp programs. Get more info at 1-800-SJ-CADET. That's 1-800-SJ-CADET or online at sjnma.org. That's sjnma.org.
Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma. Here's to progress.
At 7:07 from the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
Inbound Edens, delays start around Peterson. It's 25 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. Kennedy, 48 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 23 from Montrose, 20 in the Express. Outbound 46 minutes to the airport. The Eisenhower is running 50 minutes, 390 to downtown. 31 from Manheim. Outbound, looking at 37 minutes to 390. Stevenson, 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 38. Inbound Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 27 minutes, ID to the merge. Bishopford, 30. Delays on eastbound 390, Beecham to 290. Southbound 53 is heavy, 390, 355. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer comes your way next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Steve Williams.
A wind advisory for later this morning. Sun and clouds, shower and a heavy thunderstorm and a gusty wind today, high 64. Cloudy, windy, and cool, shower tonight, low 35. Rain and drizzle tomorrow morning with a high near 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 7:30. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
Make sure to check out the Income Store live video stream of today's show right now at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, President Trump made the call to ground Boeing 737 MAX 8s. Apparently thought the FAA was not moving with the alacrity it needed to, so he stepped in. Yeah. Did he make the right call?
We're going to be issuing an emergency order of prohibition to ground all flights of the 737 MAX 8 and the 737 MAX 9 and planes associated with that line. Any plane currently in the air will go to its destination and thereafter be grounded until further notice.
Trying to resist the temptation to make airplane jokes here because of the tragedy with the Ethiopian air crash and the Lion Air crash in Indonesia prior to, and the discussion about this cockpit software system that includes an anti-stalling feature that is the point of some controversy. Yet it is worth noting, despite the hue and cry, you had dozens of 737 MAX 8s that were in operation without incident, being flown by pilots from both American and Southwest Airlines. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by an expert in this space. He is Robert Mark, senior editor at Flying Magazine and publisher of Jet Wine. That's WHINE, jetwine.com. Robert, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Dan.
So did Trump make the right call?
Well, I'll tell you, if you're an airline passenger, I think people will say he absolutely did, because it certainly puts their mind at ease. And that was really where I think a lot of the pressure was coming from. People just said, look, we don't feel safe in this thing. And they wanted someone to tell them that it was safe. And we never got to that point. So here we are with all these airplanes sitting on the ground.
Well, so the question is there any reason to believe that the 737 MAX 8s are not safe based on the evidence that we have?
Well, we don't have much evidence, to be honest. We know essentially that the electronic system you mentioned for stalling, which is essentially, it's not the engine, it's the wing that stops flying. That's our definition of a stall.
Right.
And the airplane senses that and says, I'm going to push the nose down, pitch the nose down of the airplane and get it back flying. And it kind of got out of the hands of the pilots. And now they've seen some similarities between this most recent accident and the one in Indonesia. But right now, that's all we know. And that's not very much. But again, the rest of the world said, we're not taking any chances.
So what happens next? They ground what? I know Southwest has 34 of them. American Airlines has 24. United has a 737 MAX 9. Has that been grounded too?
It has, in fact.
Okay. So then what do they? We're just waiting. I know the black box was taken to France.
Right. And one of the black boxes was damaged in the accident. And right now they've said they sent the boxes to someplace in Europe to be analyzed, and we're just going to have to sit back and wait for them to get some data that gives them a better indication of what brought these airplanes down. And we don't know. It may be something completely different that initially looked similar to the Indonesian accident, but it may be something completely different.
Well, I mean, we don't have time to be measured in this thing. We have to go wherever the hysteria goes.
Both of them were fairly new aircraft, and both of them did the same thing within 6 minutes of taking off. It appeared to nosedive down, up and down, and then crash. Correct? Unless there's something else that happened that I don't know about.
And that was what was enough to give people a concern. I think if the airplane had been flying longer, or maybe the sequences that happened in a greater time frame, maybe people wouldn't have panicked quite so much. But that is what it is.
And there are other reasons that that could explain those similarities, where the cause was different in each case. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, similarity doesn't prove anything. It just gives you an initial indication. And again, when we get those boxes, we may find something, again, completely different that brought the airplane down. It could be something related to pilot error that had something to do with it. We just don't know.
And the anti-stall feature on the cockpit software, that's something that pilots are trained on and can be overridden?
Well, that's a interesting point. When Boeing brought out the MAX 8 and MAX 9, they didn't tell the pilots that this new piece of software had been added, because they thought it was so simple that it was impossible to for a pilot to misdiagnose this. And pilots that I know, myself included, don't think like that. We can handle a lot of situations, but just tell us what the airplane's going to do. Mm-hmm. Tell us what you put in it so that we know exactly what we're facing. And they didn't do that before the Indonesian crash, and we've still been waiting for this fix that supposedly is coming based on the Indonesian crash from Boeing. And here we are 5 or 6 months later, and it's about to debut, they said, next month.
Well, wait, what's the fix?
Well, it's a software fix that Boeing's going to release to prevent the airplane from getting a false cue, and that's what we think happened in the Indonesian crash. Is that the wing really wasn't about to stop flying? Somehow, one of the sensors told the computer it was, and the computer said, "Okay, I'll do what you told me to do," and it just took the controls right out of the hands of the autopilot that was flying and pushed the nose over. And then the pilots instinctively tried to pull the wheel back to regain control, and they just were not able to do it.
Holman Jenkins has a piece in the Wall Street Journal on the topic, and he references a point that was made by a chief pilot for British Airways more than 10 years ago, warning about the de-skilling of pilots, their inevitable replacement by computers. And the point that Jenkins makes, based on the comment this chief pilot made, airline crash should become rarer as automation has become more prevalent, but those accidents that do occur seem increasingly to consist of cockpit systems and crews working together to fly perfectly flyable planes into the ground.
I would agree with that. I do. I mean, and I think we only need to look at our automobiles for people to understand what we're dealing with. I mean, there's so much automation in a car now that people can easily be distracted when a car is able to steer itself without, you see people letting go of the wheel and they go, wow, this is pretty neat. And it is cool the first couple of times, but eventually what happens is that your mind says, well, the car's driving along here pretty well. I can kind of look at something else right now. And then when something fails, they go, whoa, what happened? They're just completely, because they're out of the loop. And that's what happens sometimes on airplanes as well.
I wanted to go back to something you said about the flight manual. And Politico interviewed one pilot who said it's almost criminally insufficient that they weren't, that Boeing left out all systems in the manuals and what they should do in certain situations. Do you agree with that?
I don't know what's criminally insufficient. It's a hard thing to define. Did it make me mad? Oh, it made me really mad, and it does every other pilot. As I said earlier, we can deal with a lot of situations, but just tell us the truth. Don't treat us like we're kids and say, well, this is so perfect, you don't even need to know it exists. And that's a pretty arrogant attitude, I think, on anybody's part.
Why hasn't that issue been raised to this point by all those pilots at American and Southwest flying these planes?
Well, because now we know, anecdotally, what we think the problem is and how to react to it. And so I think every crew that takes off now, we do a briefing before takeoff of, if this happens, if that happens, and all the crews in the MAX 8s have been doing the same thing and saying, and if this thing starts to pitch down on us, here's what we're going to do, and they can reach over and turn off these two electrical switches just below the throttles and disarm that system. So they're ready for it, and they weren't ready for it before. And that's the difference.
They weren't ready for it before, but are there any known incidents on American or Southwest flights of this nature?
Well, there have been some incidents that have been reported that are somewhat similar, but we can't pin it down and say it's exactly the same as the Indonesian accident because the data just isn't sufficient. But as you said earlier, there are, I forgot, almost 400 of these airplanes flying around the world since they were introduced in 2017, I believe. And there haven't been any serious incidents that I know of. But again, that it only takes one or
Well,
two.
yeah,
in
and
this
that
case.
same Politico article, another pilot that was interviewed said he had a problem with the MAX 8 back in October with the auto throttle, and he said that he had to quickly adjust the thrust manually to continue to climb because it was fighting him.
Well, and again, to what we spoke about earlier with these automated systems, the crash of the aircraft at San Francisco some years ago, where they landed short and hit the dike and scattered the airplane all over the runway.
Right.
The pilots thought the autopilot and the auto throttle, which adjusts the power, was going to do one thing, and they missed one tiny clue that needed to put that in place, and the auto throttles just didn't function. And they said, "Wow, look at that! Boy, we're getting really slow and low," and they never touched the throttles themselves, and because they said, "Well, the computer's going to do it. We have faith in the computer," and that is again going back to that problem of too much automation dependency. We've got to be able to tell. We've got to be able to see that something's not working right, and we need to take the airplane back from the computer.
Something has been made of the Ethiopian pilot, about 200 hours of flying time, apparently, that's been reported. And obviously that's a lot less than, say, the flying time that pilots for Southwest or American have. Could that have been a factor into just a lack of experience?
Well, in Europe, they have a different licensing system than we have here in the States. And, low-time pilots in the first office or the right seat are not that unusual. But most of the time when they get to that position, most of their training has been done in a simulator, not in a real airplane.
Right.
And to me, when you get a situation like what happened in Ethiopia, that captain was pretty much on his own. I mean, that new person would have been so new and so overwhelmed so quickly that they were just they were just useless to the guy. That's the problem that you have with brand new co-pilots. Again, they're supposed to be there to help, and if they don't have any experience, there ain't not much help.
On the training piece of it, just walk us through that a little bit for commercial pilots. So getting my private pilot's license, I know this is apples and oranges, but I'm just trying to make an analogy. We've got GPS now these days, but not allowed to use GPS for the purpose of preparing for the check ride. Got to be able to pilotage your way around a particular the chart for a particular path for your flight plan. And I wonder, are commercial pilots trained similarly, where you've got to know the systems, the automation piece of it, but you're also trained manually with the idea that systems can fail?
Well, that's another problem we faced, is that over the last 10 years, the amount of what we call hand flying without the autopilot, has decreased at most airlines, because I can remember in my early days of automation, people would say, put the autopilot on. It flies better than you do. Mm-hmm. It's smoother. It gives the people in the back a better ride. And so we're kind of forced into flying on automation. But then, too, some of the new air traffic control procedures that have been put together based on the satellite GPS system are so complex that a human couldn't fly them without the computer anyway.
Right.
So it's almost kind of a rock and a hard spot kind of situation.
So what happens now? I mean, spring break starts next week for a lot of suburban kids on Chicago's spring break. If you have 34 planes out of commission on Southwest, 24 out of American, is that going to be a big deal?
Well, it's going to cause some delays. There's no doubt about that. I mean, people are going to have to they're just going to have to be ready for it. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't have the public, clamoring for safety and then take airplanes off the fleet and not have some delays somewhere along the line.
You're clearly not. You're clearly not familiar with. You're clearly not familiar with the American public. If you don't think people will demand it both ways.
Well, that's true. Yes, you're right.
Or what is American do? Going to bring back the Super 80?
Yeah, well,
if you're tall,
they're
it's
probably thinking about that right now.
Yeah, they're going to have to do
It'd
something.
probably take them so long to get the things up and running again that. But see, again, that's another problem that this is causing is that we have no idea after this grounding yesterday how long these airplanes are going to be out. We just don't, because we don't even know what we're dealing with yet. So, and then whatever it is, then they've got to find a fix for it if it's not this software patch that Boeing is already bringing out.
And
we just don't know that it's the same.
And it's not to be cavalier at all about airline safety, but it is always nice to interject some context in these conversations, particularly when hysteria is ruling the day. The number of people killed on a commercial flight in America last year, I think it was a round number, right? 0?
Correct.
So there's no jeopardy that airline safety is going to stop being the safest mode of transportation by a wide measure, is there?
No, I don't think so. And let's be serious, too. These two accidents did not happen in the United States. They happened on non-U.S. carriers in, what to Americans, Indonesia and Africa seem like rather remote locations. And, but, again, so is that because of the airplanes? We don't know. Was it because of the training of the pilots? We don't know. And there's just so many questions to which we don't have any answers that I think that's where this panic kind of set in.
He is Robert Mark. He's the senior editor at Flying Magazine and the publisher of Jet Wine. That's WHINE, jetwine.com. Robert, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
What kind of plane is it? Oh, it's a big, pretty white plane with red stripes and curtains in the window and wheels, and it looks like a big Tylenol.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Mary, the child you bear will become the greatest of men.
From the network that brought you the Bible.
There has been talk about Jesus. They say he's healing the sick.
Comes the life of Jesus Christ.
His preaching is what concerns me. He's helping people.
From those who knew him best.
We are his followers. We've seen him do wondrous things. I am the resurrection and the life.
Jesus, his life. Monday, March 25th at 8 on History.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.5%, APR 4.78%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate subject to change. Pay 2% fee. Receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Dan, I know you like the meatloaf I just made from yesterday. I put some Balance of Nature in there, so you should start feeling better in no time.
It's pretty good. I was wondering why it had that extra kick.
Yeah, it did. Balance of Nature, 10 servings of 31 fruits and veggies in a single capsule, no dyes or preservatives. And why do you take Balance of Nature? Well, we all have to admit we're not getting enough fruits and veggies in our diet, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. Look, I know you've heard the testimonials here on AM 560. Maybe you're skeptical. But I can tell you I've met Dr. Douglas Howard. He's the founder of Balance of Nature. He showed me the emails, played the voicemails that he receives from happy and satisfied users of Balance of Nature. So get healthy now. Boost your immune system by ordering your bottle of Balance of Nature. Don't wait another day. Try it now before you get sick. And get 20% off when you order by using promo code Chicago. Balanceofnature.com, promo code Chicago, or call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Balanceofnature.com, promo code Chicago.
Have you ever wanted to speak another language? Whether you want to speak Spanish, French, or German,
Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons can get you speaking confidently in your new language within weeks.
I just started learning Spanish with Babbel, and it's really helping me with my pronunciation.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? Haha, I got it! I'm amazed how confidently I speak Spanish now. I wish I had tried Babbel sooner.
Babbel's award-winning technology gets you speaking right away. And best of all, you'll remember what you've learned. No wonder Babbel is the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Try it for yourself and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language, like Spanish, German, Portuguese, and more. You can try Babbel for free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and try it for free. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to pick up our discussion of the college admissions scandal that's ensnared the lovely and talented Felicity Huffman and the lovely and talented Aunt Becky. Mike Rechtenwald, retired NYU professor and author, will join us at 7:37.
Good, I can't wait. And hey, later on, when dogs fight back, we'll explain. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Perry Williams in Today for Mike Scott.
Good morning. Partly sunny skies. It's 54 degrees in Chicago at 7:30 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Perry Williams. The McHenry County Sheriff's deputy who was shot and killed last week is being remembered as a hero, a proud father, and a loving husband. Thousands gathered yesterday in suburban Woodstock for Deputy Jacob Keltner's funeral.
He was and always will be remembered first as being an exceptional and proud father, a loving and devoted husband, a loved and cherished son, a loyal and great friend, an American patriot.
Following the service, a procession transported the deputy's casket to a Huntley funeral home. Keltner was gunned down at a Rockford hotel while working with a U.S. Marshals Service fugitive task force. In other news, R. Kelly will be paying the same amount of child support for the time being. The R&B star appeared in court yesterday to ask a Cook County judge to lower his $21,000 a month payment because he isn't working. Kelly's lawyer said no changes were made, but a May hearing was set for them to make their case for reducing the payment. In sports news, Cody Parkey's time with the Bears is officially over. In an expected move, the team released a kicker yesterday. His departure comes after a season that saw him miss 11 kicks, including a potential game-winning field goal and a playoff loss to the Eagles. The Bears have signed 2 kickers this offseason. This news report is sponsored by Staples. Right now at Staples, you can earn 100% back in rewards on your first in-store print and marketing services order, up to $100. For customers who have not made a full-service print and marketing purchase since March 1st, exclusions apply, ends March 23rd. See store for details. Staples. AM 560 News Time is 7:33. How bad is traffic? We'll have the answer in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Dr. Howard, founder and formulator of Balance of Nature. We're changing America, one life at a time.
I drive Lyft, and every once in a while I just mention this, and I say, I can only speak for me. I can't say how it's going to make somebody else feel, but for me, this has been the single biggest change for me for anything that I've taken. I've tried, smoothie diets and all kinds of stuff, but this really seems to work.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself by using discount code CHICAGO. The price of fruits and vegetables is going up. Call now to see how you can lock in your price of fruits and vegetables for an entire year and get free shipping on every order. Call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chuck Spaveri, CEO of Spaveri's Custom Counters.
the Chicagoland manufacturer of residential and commercial countertops. If there's a local commercial bank who knows how to get a deal done, it's Signature Bank. When my brother and I needed it, Signature Bank came through with a creative financing solution. That's because Signature Bank has experience working with companies like ours, a second-generation, family-owned and operated manufacturer. Our business matters to Signature Bank, and that comes through in every visit and every phone call with their team, right up to the bank's co-founders, Kevin, Mick, and Brian. Spaveries is proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson. Spring is going to be here soon, and it's the perfect time to take notice of any paint issues. Call the professionals at CertaPro Painters right away to take care of your home. Our front porch and back porches were chipping and peeling, just an eyesore. But CertaPro Painters swooped in and made a huge difference. They also painted a majority of our rooms in our house, the quality, service, and attention to detail like no other paint company. You know, spring is the season of change. Time to change your wall color or exterior and transform your home with an updated new look. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered with in-home color consultation or online with a color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting expert. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
At 7:36 from the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
We're now seeing heavy traffic on the eastbound Reagan Tollway from Farnsworth to Eola. The northbound Tri-State has delays from 115th and Ridgeland to LaGrange Road. From the Stevenson to 31st, and it's jammed from the Eisenhower to the Grand Avenue curve. Northbound Veterans Memorial, it's slow from the 463rd at the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to Lake. Southbound 53 delays are Euclid to Kershaw, and from around 390 to the 355. Edens, 21 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose. Kennedy, 47 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Heavier in the Express. Eisenhower, 52 minutes, 390 to downtown. Stevenson, an hour and 2 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is half an hour from 95th to the Circle. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer comes your way next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Steve Williams.
A wind advisory later this morning. Sun and clouds, shower and a heavy thunderstorm. Winds gusting past 45 miles per hour, high 64. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Shower tonight, low 35. Rain and drizzle tomorrow morning with a daytime high at 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 8 o'clock. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k rollover specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Have you seen the documentary Generation Wealth? It's on Amazon. Mm-hmm. It's very good. Lauren Greenfield is the documentarian, and it tracks like 25 years of her work. She's a photographer by training and documentarian more recently. It tracks 25 years of her growing up in a rich area of California and sort of where are they now, her friend circle, and how the culture that she grew up in a rich area of California seems to have enveloped sort of the nation as a whole, this wealth at all costs, and wealth as a way to override the system in terms of any rules of the game. I mean, isn't that what we're talking about largely with this college admission scandal, right? You can pay your way around the rules, around the rule of law, as it were. Here's the trailer for that Generation Wealth to give you a flavor.
If I want to work 100 hours a week and never see my family and die at an early age, that's my prerogative.
I would have money as big as this worm. In case it
33 pounds of gold and diamonds given to me by superstars of the world.
I love money. Come to me.
I've been a photographer for 25 years, with my lens focused on wealth. I noticed that no matter how much people had, they still wanted more. I want to figure out why our obsession with wealth has grown. It seemed to be a shift in the American dream.
I know the names of the Kardashians better than I know the names of my neighbors.
This fictitious lifestyle fuels this sense of inadequacy.
I have the classic Birkin in almost every color.
The bags start 20,000, go up. I realized wealth was much more than money. It was whatever gave us value. Fame, sex, even plastic surgery for dogs.
It's kind of like the end of Rome. Societies accrue their greatest wealth at the moment that they face death.
If you look great and you have a nice car, I'm all for it. But at the expense of what?
You sell your soul to the devil. You're so hungry for it, you're blinded.
I am on the FBI most wanted list. All of us are following a toxic dream.
If you think that money will buy you anything and everything, you've never, ever had money.
Dollars, dinero, money is what it takes.
Wow, that was mesmerizing.
It's a very good documentary, and isn't that what this is about? Buying your way into Stanford or Georgetown. That's buying status for your kids. It's buying them into a network. It's not about learning. It's not about the English lit professor at Stanford is so much better than the one at
USC.
Well, or
which you don't think is a accredited university.
Or Indiana University, say, or Purdue. The engineering professor at Yale is so much better than the engineering professor at U of I. No, it's about status and networks. It used to be also about a marriage, right? Finding your life partner.
Right.
That's less so the case.
MRS degree.
But that generation wealth piece of it, that folds right into what we're talking about with this admission scandal. And to further our discussion, we're pleased to be joined again by Michael Rechtenwald. He's a retired professor at NYU. He's the author of a number of books, including Springtime for Snowflakes, Social Justice and Its Postmodern Parentage, and an upcoming book, Google Archipelago, The Digital Gulag and the Simulation of Freedom. Professor, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me again. Appreciate having you. Being on.
Yeah, it's great to have you. How do you come to this admission scandal? What are the takeaways for you?
I mean, it's absolutely no surprise, and I think the first thing I thought was there's probably another 100, 200 companies doing the same thing, actually going so far as to write the students' admissions essays, doing all kinds of things, any kind of advantage. I was surprised at the bribery, direct bribery. That sort of surprised me, although I know that there are calls made, there are promises of donations and things like this. And as I saw my student body change, the composition of the student body that I taught changed over the course of 25 years. I noticed it going from, basically a cross-section of Americans and international students to the creme de la creme, the rich across the world. Basically, that was the student body that I was teaching. They were just the richest kids in the world.
Were you ever?
That's all that distinguishes them.
Were you ever approached by anybody, or any of your colleagues approached by anyone?
To do what?
To fraudulently admit somebody or treat a student different or give them different grades or anything such.
Never. Because I was never asked to do that by a parent or anything. I've had students make outrageous petitions, but never a parent has approached me that way. I've had students try to do do anything to get their grades up, beg, borrow, whatever they could do. They would try, and some of them went outlandish lengths to try to get you to persuade you to do something. Meanwhile, the grades are inflated grossly in the first place. I mean, today a D is really a B plus now. Really? A D is a B plus, or even an A minus. If a student gets less than an A minus, what you're going to have to deal with as a professor is a fight, and the dean is going to get involved, and they're going to complain, and there's money on the line, and you're going to lose. So what happens is that the professoriate has just basically automatically inflated the grades. The grade standard is worthless. I can't believe it. You know, I went to university in the 80s, and compared to what it was like then and what's like now, you know, an A meant an A. An A now means anything from a C to a D. Wow. It's that bad.
Well, so here I'm going to go back to the straight up bribery and the faking participation in athletics and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I was struck by that too. The inartfulness of it from otherwise sophisticated people. And does that speak to does the brazenness just speak to a need to not that you don't need to be artful? That can we just cut through it? I'm not going to endow a chair in the psychology department or put my name on a building, underwrite the construction of a building. Just here's $400,000 to the soccer coach. My kid's a soccer player. Now he's in it. Now he or she is in at Yale. Let's just cut to the chase because this is the way it's done.
Yeah, I mean, I was really kind of surprised about that aspect. And one of the other things I used to always talk to my students about is plagiarism. Do you have any pride in yourself at all that you would pass off somebody else's work as your own? I mean, that is, it's pathetic in the sense that it shows a complete disbelief in yourself and a complete lack of personal integrity.
Well, because
but it happened all the time.
Because you're not.
I had students I asked to summarize an essay. The student actually handed in the essay that I asked them to summarize and put the name on it as if it was their own.
There's the summary.
It's an answer. Wow.
Well, but that's the point. It's the point that Olivia Jade, Lori Loughlin's kid, made. I mean, in a moment of honesty. Look, I'm not going to USC to get an education. Right. I'll go to class around my work schedule.
Go to the parties, the football games.
Yeah, and so I'll get the degree. I can sign up for some half-assed trans poetry classes or whatever. Right. Get any major. It doesn't matter. I just need the credential.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and the sense of entitlement is incredible. I had a student once who actually missed a lot of classes and every appointment with me as well. And right in front of the rest of the class, he asked me, "Do you mind giving me a wake-up call before the next class?"
No.
And I said, I couldn't believe it. I said, what do you think I am, a concierge service?
Yeah.
And the rest of the class was falling on the floor laughing. It was so absurd.
Yeah.
But he was serious.
So it's that sense of entitlement.
I mean, this is how far they go in terms of being entitled and thinking that, this is just an automatic, basically pay for grades.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe a continental breakfast, too, in the classroom.
Can you kind of ease into the day.
I'll come over and I'll wake you up. I'll bring you some coffee.
So when did you retire as a professor from NYU?
January 10th this year.
Do you miss it at
and,
all?
I retired on good terms, but we did have some issues. You can look it up, and I can't say anything about it.
Well, I'm
going to Google it now.
I was a very fierce critic of things, and that didn't go over well.
If you wrote a book called Springtime for Snowflakes, I could see where you'd run into some problems with the...
It's all in there.
Yeah.
The first two chapters tell you the whole story of why I am not at NYU.
Do you think that NYU is a school with a reputation? That's a credential school. That's a profile school, right? That's a network you want to break into, like some of these
it's
other.
It's a very highly. It's a very prestigious school.
Yes.
No question.
Right, and like these other schools involved in the scandal. Do you think that this scandal will start to tarnish the reputations and maybe open some eyes about just how unprestigious some of these schools are in terms of the substance of the education they deliver? Or everybody's just bought in and it's about the credential and getting into the right law firm or whatever, and the reality on the ground in Palo Alto or New Haven doesn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's going to happen, and I can't speak about NYU in particular, in general, I think what you'll see is a lot of defensiveness and a lot of denial on the part of these elite institutions. They'll go into denial and so on and so forth. The ones who will admit to a problem and do some self-criticism and assessment will be the survivors, I think. There won't be...
Oh,
Dun, 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 boom.
the NYU administration got to him finally. Shouldn't have brought that up.
Yeah,
you
Way to
alerted
go,
them.
Dan.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think where he's going is the college is going to change. Those that do some examination will be ultimately successful. Those that don't will start to fade, and also too competition outside the traditional university system, the bricks and mortar system. I think that's going to ultimately force change. May not happen tomorrow. But Heterodox Academy, Jonathan Haidt, and other academics putting that together, the Lambda schools that are focused on intensive training for specific industries like coding, I think are going to displace even some of the most prestigious names, and these scandals just expedite that.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you or a loved one lives alone in a senior community or a facility, well, Help Services is here to help you. Their GPS two-way voice pendant is as loud as a speakerphone. No landline is ever needed. And with the push of a button, help can be called from anywhere. Help Services knows quality customer service is key. I know these folks. I know the owner. There's a live person available 24/7. With the push of a button, you're going to get immediate response from a Help Service care member to quickly assess your needs. I urge you to go to helpforyou.com, helpforyou.com, or text HELP to 1-800-655-6453, and you'll get the first month of service absolutely free. Give your loved one their independence and peace of mind. Go to helpforyou.com or text the word HELP to 1-800-655-6453. You'll get the first month of service absolutely free. Help Services, peace of mind with the push of a button.
This is Dr. Howard, founder and formulator of Balance of Nature. We're changing America one life at a time.
Now, these are probably the best supplements I've ever had. I've cut out all the other stuff I'm taking and stuff like that. I went completely off the blood pressure meds almost immediately. So it's definitely, you can see a huge difference.
I fell from my chair and I crushed my heel. I feel that has gotten better since I've been taking Balance of Nature.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself by using discount code CHICAGO. The price of fruits and vegetables is going up. Call now to see how you can lock in your price of fruits and vegetables for an entire year and get free shipping on every order. Call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Pain drugs are addictive and have side effects. Get off the drugs, get rid of the pain. You don't need to live with chronic pain. Let's repeat, you do not have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, from an accident or pain that just develops. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the most respected and successful pain doctors in the world. Dr. Candido will work to find the source of your chronic pain and fix it. He teaches pain management around the world and has been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Okay, you get it. He's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido, Chicago anesthesia and pain specialist, will help you get off the pain medication and all of its side effects. You can get your life back. Drugs mask the pain, find the source, and fix it. Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain. You be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info at mypainchicago.com.
Hey, your friend Sean Hannity here. The perfect time to get organized, and StoreLock has the solution with StoreLock Modular Systems. It's the best tool cabinet you'll ever buy. Simple and easy to get organized. It's fully assembled when it ships, so you can get organized really fast. They're built the old-fashioned way, made to order. Powder-coated in-house in any color you want. Now, you order your custom system. They're 100% crafted in the U.S., and they feature dividers, liners, layouts, all made with quality quality materials, including steel ball bearings and heat-treated steel rollers. Store Lock is so strong that each drawer literally holds up to 400 pounds. Store Lock fits any home or business, will last a lifetime with its 55-year top-to-bottom warranty. All you have to do is order today and receive your system in about 4 weeks. Call now at 1-800-STOR-LOC. That's Store Lock. 1-800-STORE-LOCK. And check out storelock.com for upcoming events.
Don't let someone else make money off of your money. Take control of your income and your future. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about Online Trading Academy. They're the leader in trading and investing education. With courses offered throughout Chicagoland, including East Peoria, Valparaiso, Lombard, you can learn about ways to generate income and protect your retirement. I attended a class at Online Trading Academy and learned so much. And you too can jump into a free class. Just call 844-778-7132. That's 844-778-7132. And if you call right now, they will send you home with their Professionals Insider Kit. It's loaded with exclusive investing courses and some of their best lessons from the pros. Limited opportunity and seats go quickly. Call 844-778-7132. That's 844-778-7132. Or visit them online at otaclass.com.
Few moments bring you joy like going to the mailbox after you've done your taxes. Pulling it open, reaching in, discarding the junk mail, and then pulling out that item you've been waiting so... What? Someone already filed for my return? It sounds like a horror story, but it's a reality. Cybercriminals can use your personal information to get a tax refund in your name, or even commit other forms of ID theft. Good thing there's LifeLock with Norton. LifeLock's dedicated identity restoration specialists will work to fix your identity issues, and we've added more protection with Norton Security to help block thieves from stealing information on your devices. No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but join today and get 10% off your first year, and then enjoy peace of mind all year long. Head to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock and enter promo code TITTLE. That's promo code TITTLE for 10% off your first year. LifeLock with Norton.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, Jay Leno sat down with Al Roker, and I think this was one of those interviews.
Don't say that. Did he?
He did not soil himself. Okay. I don't believe so. Jay Leno didn't mention it. If the set started to smell, I don't know. But Jay Leno talking about late night shows. Does he miss doing the late night talk show, The Tonight Show? Does he miss? Could he do it today if he did? And here's what Leno had to say.
It's been 5 years since you left the Tonight Show, and you see the place we are right now in this country. Do you miss being on the show, or is it such a different time that it would be hard to do?
No, it's different. I don't miss it. You know, everything now is, if people don't like your politics, everyone has to know your politics. When I kind of used Johnny's model, people couldn't figure out, well, you and your Republican friends, well, Mr. Leno, you and your Democratic buddies, and I would get hate mail from both sides equally. And I went, well, that's fabulous. Yes. That's exactly what I want. Yes. But when people see you as one-sided, it just makes it tough. And plus, you know, I did it when, you know, Clinton was horny and Bush was dumb, and it was just a little easier. You're a mess. you know, now it's all very serious. Everything is just so I just like to see a bit of civility come back to it. You know, if people say, "Oh, it must be easy to do jokes with Trump." No, it's actually harder because the punchline of the joke used to be, "That's like the president with a porn star." Well, now the president is with a porn star. Where do you go with that? How do you get more outrageous than that? Yeah, exactly.
Do you think the pendulum will swing back the other direction?
Of course, I think it will. Yeah. I think it'll swing back the other way. Yeah, because, you know, the theory when we did the show was you just watch the news, we'll make fun of the news and get your mind off the news. Well, now people just want to be on the news all the time.
Right.
So you just have one subject, so it's the same topic every night, which makes it very hard. I mean, all the comics, Jimmy and Colbert and everybody else, it's tough when that's the only topic
everything.
out there.
Yeah.
Well, it's also tough when they're one-sided as compared to the approach Leno took, the approach Johnny Carson took. I think it makes a great point, the politicization of everything. And
Jimmy Kimmel's insufferable with his political views and hatred.
And it's also not comedy.
It's not funny at all. You don't turn it on to relax and wind down from the day. You get angry again.
Well, because you have a late night talk show comedy host, variety show host, who's engaged in offering political jeremiads about the issues of the day. It's not entertaining. It's proselytizing. And so, I can laugh at politicians. I voted for politicians I support. But when it is so nasty, as Leno was sort of referencing, then it's not what it's advertised to be. It's not a variety show. It's not entertaining. It's just more screeching at you that I can turn on MSNBC or CNN to get. And so I think that's certainly why I don't watch anymore. It doesn't matter
David Letterman, Jay Leno, since those two left, I haven't watched. I don't even know who replaced David Letterman.
Well, Colbert. At the end of Letterman, the Letterman's last year, he was getting that way too. And so I used to love Letterman. And then when Letterman changed, I changed my view of Letterman and enjoying his program because he became like Kimmel or Colbert are today.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk about monopolies, antitrust policy, and Chief Warren. Mark Perry, economics professor from Michigan, joins us at 8:08.
And later, Beto is in, something he was born to do. But first, here is Perry Williams.
Time for an update from Fox News on AM 560, WIND Chicago. It's 8 o'clock.
He nearly won a Senate seat. Now he's eyeing the White House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Beto O'Rourke, the newest runner in the Democratic race for president.
This is a defining moment of truth for this country.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Dave, the former Texas congressman says he's running to ensure every American has a chance to see a doctor, that government works for everyone, and to provide lawful paths for immigrants to work in the United States.
This is going to be a positive campaign that seeks to bring out the very best from every single one of us, that seeks to unite a very divided country.
O'Rourke also vowing to work on real criminal justice reform and tackle climate change. The 46-year-old will hold a kickoff rally in El Paso later this month. Dave.
Rachel, the Senate will vote today on a resolution to block President Trump.
A vote against the president's national emergency declaration is a vote to deny the humanitarian and security crisis that's happening.
Well, despite what Vice President Pence tells Fox, 5 of his fellow Republicans may join Democrats passing it, which would lead to a veto. Days after the plane crash in Ethiopia, some relatives of the passengers killed are at the crash site, picking through rubble. Some are angry the airline's meeting that they had today gave them no information. No Boeing 737 MAX 8 or 9 jets are flying in the U.S. this morning. The FAA grounded that type of plane, now involved in 2 crashes, joining other countries and airlines.
The agency made this decision as a result of the data gathering process and new evidence collected at the site.
Acting FAA Administrator Dan Elwell, more than 1,000 flights are canceled, but mainly because of wintry weather.
I pulled up at the light and the wind picked up and it just started sliding my truck over like 2 lanes.
He's in Colorado, where National Guard troops and special vehicles are helping rescue stranded drivers amid what's called a bomb cyclone that generated wind gusts over 100 miles an hour, creating blizzard conditions there into the Dakotas and Minnesota, flooding a concern in other states. This is Fox News.
Good morning. Mostly cloudy skies. It's 57 degrees in Chicago at 8:02 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Perry Williams. The 2 candidates running for Chicago mayor are laying out their plans for combating crime in the city while appearing separately yesterday at a University of Chicago forum. Tony Preckwinkle and Lori Lightfoot both agreed that crime should be treated as a public health crisis. Preckwinkle called for a major investment in community policing, and Lightfoot said the mayor's Office of Public Safety should be expanded. In other news, Jason Van Dyke is now serving his time in a medium security prison in New York. The former Chicago police officer was transferred to Otisville Federal Correctional Institution in Otisville, New York. The move came after Van Dyke was attacked by fellow inmates at a Connecticut prison last month. The ex-cop was sentenced in January to 81 months in prison after being convicted of second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery in the shooting death of 17-year-old Laquan McDonald. In sports news, the Bulls head west to take on the Clippers tomorrow night. Chicago has lost 5 of its last 6 games. The Bulls dropped to 19-50 with a 123-107 loss to the Lakers on Tuesday at the UC. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network, here's Carol Zimmer.
From the Fox Business Network. No end in sight to Boeing's problems after the U.S. and other nations grounded its 737 MAX jet. The second crash in 5 months has badly damaged Boeing's reputation. The 737 MAX was its most popular jet. He's had a lot of trouble getting out all the orders for Tesla's Model 3, but tonight at an event in California, Elon Musk is expected to unveil another all-electric vehicle. It's the Model Y compact SUV, another try at turning Tesla into a mass-market car company. Federal prosecutors conducting a criminal investigation of Facebook, looking into the social media company's partnerships with other tech companies. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Carol Zimmer.
AM 560 News Time is 8:04. Where are the cars this morning? We'll have the answer in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
And you know my beverage of choice is tequila.
The Joe Walsh Show.
Per doctor's orders, no lie. I went in to have a doctor's appointment a couple years ago, telling my doctor about my tummy, my gut issues. He said, how about tequila? He said, tequila's better for your stomach. And swear to God, true story. Now, that was about 2 years ago. Son of a gun, I love it.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right before Larry Elder at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
All money managers might seem the same. But while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Sheet metal is a big part of commercial and industrial facilities. Look around your business and you'll quickly notice how many components use sheet metal. From fan systems and hoods to machinery guards and much more. For top quality sheet metal work, get to know the pros at Vans Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. Vans Industrial is an industrial sheet metal contractor that can fabricate all types of alloys up to 1-inch plate. We perform jobs including chutes, hoppers, stacks, siding, and dust collection. We work in material handling facilities including steel, chemical, agricultural, food processing plants, and more. Vans Industrial can also design and perform the engineering for a complete turnkey installation. Our quality work is installed by trained mechanics who will work closely with you to make sure the job is done right.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level. Call 833-VANS-IND. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com.
At 8:07 from the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
On southbound 53 and 355, we're seeing delays from Euclid Kirchhoff, and then from 390 to Lake Street, where there's a crash. 2 right lanes are blocked. Northbound, there's a Gapers delay starting around North Avenue. This has eastbound 390 backed up to Beecham. Northbound Veterans Memorial, it's heavy as well farther south, about Toll to the Reagan Tollway. The Reagan Tollway has delays, 31 to Eola and 59 to Yackley. Got Eden's 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Kennedy, 54 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 32 from Montrose, 30 in the Express. Eisenhower, an hour and 4 minutes, 390 to downtown. 42 minutes from Manheim. Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes, 355 to drive. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More Chicago's Morning Answer comes your way next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Steve Williams.
A wind advisory for later this morning. Sun and clouds, shower and a heavy thunderstorm and a gusty wind today, high 64. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Shower tonight, low 35. Rain and drizzle tomorrow morning with a high near 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 8:30. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Chief Warren on the campaign trail pitching her breakup of big tech idea. Here's the, you heard it over the weekend on Face the Nation. We've talked about it a little bit. Here's her continued prosecution of the case against the Facebooks and the Googles and the Amazons of the world.
So another way to explain that, too, is let's take Apple, obviously a very popular company. It has an app store. Do you believe that Apple should be allowed to sell its own apps on its app store?
So it needs to do one or the other. Either it runs that platform, the app store, or it's selling its own products on the app store, but it doesn't do both of those simultaneously, because whenever it does, it has this enormous competitive advantage that wipes out all the other little businesses.
For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined again by Mark Perry, who's professor of economics and finance at the University of Michigan, and his indispensable Carpe Diem blog, which I reference often at the American Enterprise Institute website. Mark, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Dan, hey, happy to be back.
So is Elizabeth Warren right? Apple has to pick apps or the platform. It can't do both because it's a monopolist and it's inhibiting the plucky entrepreneur from succeeding in America.
Well, I think we have to make a distinction between what economists call a coercive monopoly, where they have some kind of government license or grant that gives them exclusive, properties or exclusive rights, like let's say the United States Post Office, where nobody can compete against them for first-class mail, and that's a coercive monopoly. But when you look at private businesses and look at Apple or its App Store, first of all, there's no barriers to entry. Anybody can enter into the cell phone market or smartphone market. And, Apple has no way to, eliminate or restrict competitors. And so in a private market like that, it's hard to justify that the government would come in and tell them how to run their business, because they are competing against smartphones and Androids, and so there's that competition. Companies like Amazon are also, or Apple and Amazon are also concerned about potential competition, because those are fields where there are no barriers to entry. Other competitors could eventually come in, and so they have to act very competitively. So I say that the best regulation for businesses is intense market competition, not government oversight and regulation. So that's what we need, and the market does a very good job of regulating businesses to act in a way that is pro-consumers.
It's difficult, right, because there's such antipathy from many quarters towards these big tech companies for all kinds of reasons, ideological reasons, privacy or the lack of privacy reasons, the feeling they're expropriating other people's work, and so on and so forth. So it's easy to jump on this bandwagon, as some Republicans have, some center-right types have with Elizabeth Warren. But I think what I hear you're saying is it's time to pull the reins a little bit and remember first principles here. And first principles is you don't want government in the business of other people's business. In other words, picking winners and losers and deciding that company A can do this and company B cannot.
Well, sure, you have all these people, as Thomas Sowell said, who have never run one business for one day, all of a sudden being the busybodies or the anointed ones who are going to tell large, successful, profitable companies how they should run their business. And there's this whole history of, prosecution of very large, successful businesses. Jeff Jacoby, the Boston Globe columnist, had something on Twitter, and he said if Senator Warren had run for president in the 70s, her war cry would have been break up IBM, because how else could consumers be protected from so powerful a typewriter monopoly? Because for 2 years, IBM in the 70s was getting investigated for having a monopoly on typewriters. And I think earlier, maybe in the 60s or 70s, they were investigated for having a monopoly on mainframe computers. So Alcoa Aluminum was broken up or investigated for having a monopoly on aluminum. But in almost all those cases, when you think of if there's any damage or harm to the consumers, in most cases there isn't. And so in the case of aluminum, prices kept getting lower and lower and lower, and Alcoa did have a dominant market share, but they used low prices as a weapon to repel possible competition. And so again, if you look at today and you look at Amazon or Apple or Facebook, no one is forced to buy their products or join them. And so, again, if you think of, well, what's the damage to consumers, it just doesn't seem like there really is any, but they continually come up with these fantasy stories that there's some kind of bad monopoly who's engaged in suppressing market competition, when in most cases that's not even really true.
Don't you find it also a bit ironic that those that are very concerned about monopolies that occur in the marketplace, according to them, I don't buy that, but according to them, these monopolists like the big tech companies, there's very little concern about government monopolies, say K through 12 education. So on the one hand, they're opposed to what they perceive as monopolies in the private sector and supportive of, because the same attitude of the likes of Elizabeth Warren opposes school choice at the K through 12 level, charter schools, opportunity scholarships. They support
Sure, I think that's a good point.
support government
people
monopolies.
are really concerned about big organizations controlling a market. Yeah, they should look at the K through 12 public school monopoly with unionized teachers. They, I think, control 90% of the market, so they repel competition. They hate charter schools. I mean, that's a good example. The Department of Motor Vehicles, the Post Office. You've got a lot of examples of government monopolies, and people know that usually translates into poor customer service. And so, because they repel competition. Whereas you look at let's say Amazon or Apple, they have no ability to control competitors, and so we should leave those markets alone. And again, competition is the best form of regulation, not government bureaucrats who don't know how businesses operate.
In your Carpe Diem blog, you talked about energy and environment edition. You talked about climate science, and what exactly does that term mean?
Oh, say it again?
Climate science.
Yeah, I've been featuring that a lot lately because there are a number of people who now have this guy, Patrick Moore, one of the co-founders of Greenpeace, has been kind of prominent in the news lately because he's taken on the Green New Deal. And so as we get this narrative that there's this total consensus among scientists, I think there are a lot of respected scientists, including Patrick Moore, who is an environmentalist, who are really kind of challenging the narrative that, first of all, that CO2 is not a pollutant. It's necessary for life on the planet. And that also that a slight warming of the planet is actually a good thing for people like I'm in Minnesota right now, you're in Chicago, so people in Russia, people in Canada. A slight warming of the planet is actually has some significant benefits. And so I think we've really gone overboard on this hysteria about climate change. As Patrick Moore points out, the climate has been changing for billions of years. We act like somehow that's a emergency or something when it really isn't.
Well, and part of the conversation in both of these areas is about proportionality, right? Proportional response. And that's what so many actual scientists in the climate space have argued, including Patrick Moore, we've had on this show a number of times. It's like, look, I understand. I mean, I want to be a good steward of Mother Earth and God's creation, just like anybody else, trying to get a handle on what exactly the problem is and its implications, and then craft a proportional response. A proportional response is not banning air travel. That's not proportional. And it's sort of the same thing with Elizabeth Warren and the other meddlesome busybodies that want to oversee all these different sectors of the economy, if not incorporate them into government in total. It's that's not a proportional response to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is not a proportional response to the 2008 bubble bursting. And what the problems with big tech, whether they be of a privacy nature or other natures, the response is not for the government to tell Apple and Facebook and Google the businesses they can and can't be in and come in there and just decide, how the HR department should be organized.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's often the case that the left and the liberals, they don't really care about people. They care about power over people. And so a lot of these, whether it's, trying to break up monopolies or, have some kind of Green New Deal, a lot of it is just a power grab, and it's a kind of a way to give more power to the government. And we just know that has a history of failure, so it's hard to imagine that it would be any different this time. And so that's a lot of what's behind these political movements is just they're trying to grab power and take more power away from the private sector and put it in the hands of government bureaucrats. Now,
some would argue that, and have argued, well, look, Microsoft was the subject of DOJ antitrust prosecution, and Microsoft still survived and thrived. And so, what about a little bit of oversight and a little bit of tweaking and regulating from antitrust attorneys to make the playing field more fair? And Microsoft is a successful case of an antitrust prosecution.
Well, yeah, I mean, you always have to kind of figure out, is there any damage to consumers? And then also you have to also consider, in all of these cases, you look at IBM, let's say, in the 60s or 70s, when mainframe computers were really the dominant, part of the computer industry. And then eventually you, through innovation and technology and entrepreneurship, you come up with all of these new products, and often it's hard to even figure out what's going to come in the future. But I think that's, again, where innovation and entrepreneurship and advances in technology always change the market in ways that are going to challenge the dominant player or the dominant firm in a given period. And I just think that that's making sure that the market is open to innovation and competition is a better way to protect consumers than to have government bureaucrats deciding, whether Microsoft should be broken up and things like that.
He is Mark Perry. He's professor of economics and finance at the University of Michigan, and also, again, must read his Carpe Diem blog each day at the American Enterprise Institute's website. Mark, thanks so much for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Dan and Amy.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey guys, Ken here from the hit podcast Today's Growth. Who would win a 3-mile bicycle race, an 11-year-old girl or last year's winner of the Tour de France? It all depends on the bicycle. It depends on their vehicle. Both on a 10-speed and the pro racer is going to win every time. But put the racer on a tricycle and the 11-year-old wins every time. You see, it's not the driver, it's the vehicle. When it comes to generating revenue, it's exactly the same. If you have a job or a small business, you are riding a tricycle. You can only go so fast. If you need to make up lost ground, it's not going to happen on a tricycle. No matter how fast you pedal, it's simply not going to win the race. Why do many people with no schooling and no advanced degree often become very wealthy? Simple. They choose to only ride 10 speeds. When it comes to helping people create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income Store as a can't miss when it comes to putting people on a 10-speed. Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that doesn't solely depend on you? If so, you need to check out IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
So I did it. I'm taking Balance of Nature. It's an easy way to get your daily dose of fruits and veggies because admit it, we're all not eating enough. And Balance of Nature is 10 servings of 31 fruits and veggies in a single capsule. That's right. There's no preservatives or dye. And maybe you're skeptical about all those testimonials you've heard right here on AM 560. Well, I met Dr. Douglas Howard a few times. He's the founder of Balance of Nature. He showed me the emails, played the voicemails that he receives from happy and satisfied users of Balance of Nature. So get healthy by ordering Balance of Nature today. Don't wait. It helps if you have swelling in your joints, if you have muscle pain. It also helps boost your immune system to protect yourself, especially when we change over from winter to spring. So get your order of Balance of Nature today by going to balanceofnature.com, promo code Chicago. You'll get 20% off your first order of fruits and veggies from Balance of Nature, or you can call this number, and operators are standing by. They'll answer any of the questions that you have about Balance of Nature. Call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751, or online at balanceofnature.com. townstone.com.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Refinancing or purchasing a home does not need to be a daunting task. I guarantee you can have confidence when calling me at 312-896-2110 or going to townstone.com that our only interest is getting you the best refinancing and purchase deal available and to make sure your transaction closes on time and without headaches. If you're a first-time home buyer, you don't need a large down payment. We have a 1% down payment program and Townstone will hold your hand the entire way. If this is your second or third purchase or refinance, let Townstone compete for your business. We've been beating the big banks on interest rates and closing costs since 2002. So don't pay too much. Give me a call now at 312-896-2110. The call is free and so is my time. Lastly, have debt that you need to pay off? Let us help with a cash out refinance. Remember, nobody beats Townstone. I guarantee it. And I own the company. So call us now at 312-896-2110. And don't forget to check out our weekly podcast at townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson. Spring is going to be here soon, and it's the perfect time to take notice of any paint issues. Call the professionals at CertaPro Painters right away to take care of your home. Our front porch and back porches were chipping and peeling, just an eyesore. But CertaPro Painters swooped in and made a huge difference. They also painted a majority of our rooms in our house, the quality, service, and attention to detail like no other paint company. You know, spring is the season of change. Time to change your wall color or exterior and transform your home with an updated new look. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered with in-home color consultation or online with a color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting expert. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
Have you ever wanted to speak another language? Whether you want to speak Spanish, French, or German, Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons can get you speaking confidently in your new language within weeks.
I just started learning Spanish with Babbel, and it's really helping me with my pronunciation.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? Haha, I got it! I'm amazed how confidently I speak Spanish now. I wish I had tried Babbel sooner.
Babbel's award-winning technology gets you speaking right away. And best of all, you'll remember what you've learned. No wonder Babbel is the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Try it for yourself and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language, like Spanish, German, Portuguese, and more. You can try Babbel for free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and try it for free. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, I was the first non-binary American, and it was all a sham. No, I'm not speaking about myself. I'm speaking...
Are you sure, Dan?
On behalf...
Is there something you want to tell us?
No, I'm speaking on behalf of Jamie Shoup. And this Pete's at the Daily Signal. If you're done with your...
Young chocolate chips. Get it right with a shake, cutie. If looks could kill you, would be...
Are you having a stroke? What are you talking about?
This song.
Yeah, okay, Salt and Peppa.
Thank you.
They're not here.
Gosh.
Jamie Shoup, 4 years ago, I wrote about my decision to live as a woman in the New York Times, writing that I had always wanted to live authentically as the woman that I have always been. And I had, quote, effectively traded my white male privilege to be one of America's most hated minorities. 3 years ago, I decided I was neither male nor female, but non-binary. I made headlines after an Oregon judge agreed to let me identify as the third sex, not male or female.
Non-binary. Okay.
Now I want to live as the man that I am.
Well, too bad. You made a choice. You can't take it back, can you?
11 states allow for X, right? The third gender option on your driver's licenses now, birth certificates, including Illinois, thanks in part to Jamie Shoup.
And the latest state to do it is Indiana, of all places.
I'm one of the lucky ones. Despite participating in medical transgenderism for 6 years, my body is still intact. Most people who desist from transgender identities after gender changes can't say the same. But that's not to say I got off scot-free. My psyche is eternally scarred, and I've got a host of health issues from the grand medical experiment. It turns out Jamie was sexually abused as a child and physically abused by his parents. And that's what started the confusion. He writes, as a child, sexually abused by a male relative, parents severely beat me. At that point, I had been exposed to so much violence at so many close calls, I don't know how to explain while I'm still alive, nor do I know how to mentally process some of the things I've seen and experienced. And and he sought psychological treatment, but because of the politicization of psychology, no one would explore what needed to be explored with Jamie. Instead, they rubber stamped whatever was coming out of his head in his confusion after the traumas he suffered. Dr. Ray Blanchard has an unpopular theory that explains why someone like me may have been drawn to transgenderism. He claims there are two types of transgender women, homosexuals that are attracted to men and men who are attracted to the thought or image of themselves as females. I belong to the latter group. We're classified as having autogynephilia.
What?
After having watched pornography for years while in the Army and being married to a woman who resisted my demands to become the ideal female, I became female in my head instead. My motivation to become a woman, while my motivation was to become a woman, gender stereotypes were my means and implementation. I believe wearing a long wig, dresses, heels, makeup would make me a woman.
Okay. I think this person needs some counseling.
Well,
or some psychotherapy.
He's explaining this whole journey.
Right.
I should have been stopped. But out of control transgender activism made the nurse practitioner who was giving him hormone treatments too scared to say no. I learned how to become a female from online medical documents at the Department of Veterans Affairs hospital website because he had served in the Army. Only one therapist tried to stop me from crawling into this smoking rabbit hole. When she did, I not only fired her, I filed a formal complaint against her. Professional stigmatisms against conversion therapy had made it impossible for any therapist, to question my motives for wanting to change my sex. Trauma, hypersexuality owing to childhood sexual abuse, and autogynephilia are all supposed to be red flags for those involved in the medical arts of psychology, psychiatry, and physical medicine. Yet nobody except one therapist in Pittsburgh ever tried to stop me from changing my sex. They just kept helping me harm myself. 3 years into my gender change from male to female, I looked hard into the mirror one day. When I did, the facade of femininity and womanhood crumbled. It took 3 years for that reality to set in with me, that biological sex is immutable. After pumping myself full of hormones, the equivalent of 20 birth control pills per day.
Oh, gross. That will make you crazy, but all right, go on.
He describes being delusional to escape.
I can believe it.
But trying to cope with this reality that was starting to really reveal itself to him. To escape the delusion of having become a woman, he did the unprecedented, convinced an Oregon judge to declare him neither male or female, but non-binary. In my psychotic mind, I had restored the mythical third sex to North America, first legally recognized non-binary person in the country. The landmark court decision catapulted me to instant fame with the LGBT community. For 10 nonstop days afterward, the media didn't let me sleep. Reporters hung out in my Facebook feed. Journalists clung to my every word. And a Portland television station beamed my wife and I into living rooms in the UK. Within months, I scored another historic win after the Department of Vital Records issued me a brand new birth certificate from D.C., where I was born, switching the sex designation on my birth certificate to unknown. First time in D.C. history, a birth certificate had been printed with a sex marker other than male or female. It wasn't until I came out against the sterilization and mutilation, of gender-confused children and transgender military service members that LGBT organizations stopped helping me. Most of the media retreated with them. Overnight, I went from being a liberal media darling to a conservative pariah. The truth is that my sex change to non-binary was a medical and scientific fraud. I do not have any disorders of sexual development. All my sexual confusion was in my head. I should have been treated. Instead, at every step, doctors, judges, and advocacy groups indulged my fiction.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Beto is in, Bernie's in, Biden's in. Who's going to win? We're going to ask Daniel McCarthy from the Fund for American Studies at 8:38.
But first, let's head straight into that newsroom. Perry Williams in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. Mostly cloudy skies. It's 55 degrees in Chicago at 8:33 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Perry Williams. The grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX airliner fleet could cause problems at Chicago's airports. Southwest Airlines removed all 34 of its 737 MAX 8 aircraft from service yesterday at Midway. Those aircraft account for less than 5% of Southwest daily flights. American Airlines doesn't normally use the 737 MAX on flights through Chicago, but there still could be cancellations at O'Hare in response to the disruption. Jussie Smollett is due back in a Chicago courtroom today. The Empire actor is facing 16 felony counts of disorderly conduct over allegations he staged a racist and homophobic attack in Chicago in January. Smollett could enter a not guilty plea. Cameras will be allowed in the courtroom for the hearing. In spring baseball action, Chad Pinder smacked a 2-run homer as the A's beat the Cubs in a 12-11 slugfest in Mesa. Christian Adams, Anthony Rizzo, Johnny Field, and David Bote left the field for the Northsiders. John Lester gave up 7 hits and 7 runs in less than 3 innings to take the loss. And Preston Tucker hit a 2-run double in the White Sox 10-7 win against the Dodgers in Glendale. Ryan Goins drove in 2 on a single in the 8th for the Southsiders. The Sox are off today before hosting the Cubs tomorrow. This news report is sponsored by Accountemps. Payroll, bookkeeping, month end. Are you feeling short-staffed? Accountemps can provide accounting and finance professionals on a temporary or project basis when you need them to help with increased workloads. Call them today or visit Accountemps.com. Accountemps, a Robert Half company. AM 560 news time is 8:35. How bad is traffic? We'll have the answer in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Mike Gallagher has had it with the mainstream media.
One of the things the media will not cover is the rash of attacks that are taking place against Trump supporters, against people who wear MAGA hats.
The media's role right now is so appalling.
Don't pretend you're an objective journalist when you are in the tank for the Democrats.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
In this age of do-it-yourselfers, you may think about trying to sell your home on your own. But the for sale by owner method can be a lot of work and time. After all the aggravation, it usually ends up costing you more than if you used a professional. The Radke team of Charles Rutenberg Realty says, why risk it? The best way to get your home sold quickly with no hassle is with a professional listing agent like Keith Radke. The Radke team can professionally stage, photograph, and market your property to get it sold. They know current market values and position properties in the market to get you the best price in the least amount of time. Don't take this journey alone. Don't waste time by trying to sell your house yourself. Get the most out of your home with the least amount of stress. Call Keith Radke of the Radke team of Charles Rutenberg Realty and get your home sold fast. 708-290-7016. 708-290-7016.
Don't let someone else make money off of your money. Take control of your income and your future. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about Online Trading Academy. They're the leader in trading and investing education. With courses offered throughout Chicagoland, including East Peoria, Valparaiso, Lombard, you can learn about ways to generate income and protect your retirement. I attended a class at Online Trading Academy and learned so much. And you too can jump into a free class. Just call 844-778-7132. That's 844-778-7132. And if you call right now, they will send you home with their Professionals Insider Kit. It's loaded with exclusive investing courses and some of their best lessons from the pros. Limited opportunity and seats go quickly. Call 844-778-7132. That's 844-778-7132. Or visit them online at otaclass.com.
Check out Ground Game, the latest podcast from the Associated Press discussing the top political issues around the country. Available on Apple Podcasts.
And 8:37 from the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
Southbound 53, traffic's heavy. Peloton to Kirchhoff and jammed. Higgins to Lake Street on 355 with a crash blocking 2 right lanes. The northbound Veterans Memorial has delays. The Boughton Toll to the Reagan Tollway, then North Avenue to Lake. The eastbound 390 is backed up to around Beecham. Northbound Tri-State at Stop and Go 87th to the Hinsdale Oasis, except for the Eisenhower to the Grand Avenue curve. Eastbound Reagan Tollway, heavy 31 to Winfield and Washington to Yackley. Eden's 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Kennedy, 53 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, heavier in the Express. Eisenhower, an hour and 7 minutes, 390 to downtown, 44 minutes from Manheim. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to the Drive. Ryan, 38 minutes, 95th to downtown. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer comes your way next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Steve Williams.
A wind advisory later this morning. Sun and clouds, shower and a heavy thunderstorm. Winds gusting past 45 miles per hour, high 64. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Shower tonight, low 35. Rain and drizzle tomorrow morning with a daytime high at 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 9 o'clock. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
This is a remarkable exchange. Remarkable. Involving CNN anchor, no less, Jake Tapper, who's about the only more or less sensible anchor on that station. Jake Tapper interviewing Brad Sherman. He's one of these, dorky-looking Henry Waxman types from California who's been filing articles of impeachment against Trump since like noon on January 20th of 2017.
Yeah, he's the spearheading the effort.
Listen to his explanation of the conclusions that he and his pals like Jerry Nadler have drawn, and why, despite what Pelosi said, impeachment is the proper course of action.
He met the legal standard. He's committed several felonies, including violation of 1512b3 of the criminal code, obstruction of justice on at least 2 occasions, probably 3, and that's just in his first 6 months.
All right, well, that's your opinion, but no legal source, no legal entity has he is guilty of obstruction of justice.
No legal entity has said to the contrary, and in fact, there are numerous scholarly articles that take a look at what he did on the record, compare it to the code, and say this is a violation of the code. But the question isn't just whether he violated the legal standard. The question is, do we have the political support? Now, I was part of starting the ball rolling in terms of talking about impeachment. And if we hadn't talked about impeachment, imagine what this president would have done if he thought he was immune. He certainly would have fired Mueller. He certainly would have done God knows what has crossed his mind. So we need to go down the road part of the way and talk about impeachment.
I mean, yes, impeachment is a political process, but do you understand what the standard he's setting? No agency has said he committed the felonies. I say he's committed, but they also haven't said he didn't commit the felonies. Your Honor, I'd like to present my case in chief against the defendant. No one can prove that the defendant didn't do the things that I'm accusing him of doing. Is that the standard that we have in our criminal justice system? Is that sort of the foundational principle? The defendant has to prove beyond reasonable doubt that he's innocent? I don't think that's the standard. Now, I understand impeachment and the House of Representatives isn't a court of law, but don't you want foundational principles of a free society to be abided by your political leaders in something as big as, say, removing a president from office? And then the other piece of this, we had to talk about impeachment to prevent him from doing things that he would have done. Something else that Brad Sherman can't prove, can't point to. It doesn't seem like Trump has been particularly bounded by all of Brad Sherman's impeachment talk for the last 2 years. But I mean, this is what you're getting into with the left. I mean, these people are authoritarians. They will suspend the rule of law. They will walk away from foundational principles of our representative republic in order to achieve their desired ends. I mean, even Jake Tapper,
He seemed surprised.
It's like, what are you talking? Not surprised. He's like, what are you talking about? You're out of your mind is sort of the facial expressions you could see from Jake Tapper, but just to give you a sense of it. So there's the kind of rank and file Democrat that the Dem POTUS candidates are going to have to enlist as they compete for the nomination. Starting very soon. I mean, it's already started, but starting very soon on the debate stage and in all other respects of the campaign. And so we got Biden making overtures this week before the firefighters that he's going to get into the race in the coming weeks. And then Beto, of course, has entered the race.
Yeah, the big news this morning, sitting down with his wife, Amy.
Amy and I are happy to share with you that I'm running to serve you as the next president of the United States of America. This is a defining moment of truth for this country and for every single one of us. The challenges that we face right now, the interconnected crises in our economy, our democracy, and our climate have never been greater. And they will either consume us or they will afford us the greatest opportunity to unleash the genius of the United States of America. In other words, this moment of peril produces perhaps the greatest moment of promise for this country and for everyone inside of it.
All right.
And he said he's born to be in it. He's a featured guy on Vanity Fair cover story.
All right, great. He's the next candidate who's going to save the planet. Very good. Daniel McCarthy, he's author at The Spectator. He's also the director of the Robert Novak, The Prince of Darkness, U of I grad, Robert Novak Fellowship Program at the Fund for American Studies, and editor of Modern Age, a conservative review. He's written a piece on what Democrats need to do in order to be successful, I suppose, in their own right. Daniel McCarthy, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
So Beto, Bernie, Biden, and Kamala, those are our final four here as we're approaching March Madness, do you think?
It looks like it, and I have to say that is a staggeringly weak field.
Yeah, but now what about Beto's star power? I mean, he raised like
he raised $80 million during his Senate campaign.
It's a big state, 40 million people, but so unsuccessful Senate campaign, but he came close in Texas, which is a red state, and that's his launching pad once he tears down the wall in El Paso to national office.
Well, he came close in Texas in what was really sort of the perfect storm year for Democrats, and that was running up against Ted Cruz, who is a Republican with a lot of sort of negative charisma, people might say. And of course, Beto still lost in Texas last year. So the idea that Texas or any other state is going to be more Democratic leaning next year than it was in 2018 seems like an unsafe supposition for Beto. So it seems to me that Beto, having fallen short once, would fall a lot shorter next year. No, I think really what he wants to do is simply perhaps try to get onto the ticket as a vice presidential nominee.
That's what
And the contrast between him, in his 40s, and the fact that he has a party whose frontrunners, Biden and Sanders, are both pushing 80, is maybe the strongest thing he has going for him, but that's not much.
Yeah, I think he can recapture the energy, though, that he had from the midterms because people knew about him outside of Texas. I remember my friend Paula Ferris, she said, you're a rock star because people are attracted to him. He reminds me a lot of Barack Obama and how he was. Well, he had a little bit of star power, and I know you guys probably think I'm crazy, but the whole thing is I thought that he's going to be definitely a vice president, be on a ticket with either Bernie or with Biden.
I don't think you're crazy. I think it's just a sad commentary on what constitutes star power. But the point that you raised is an interesting one. What about that, Daniel? The idea that he becomes a media darling and that elevates him.
Well, that's what he has going for him. And, it's true enough that compared to the sort of uncharismatic and rather, sort of perfunctory Democrats that we have so far running, Beto seems like, a bit of a Hollywood figure compared to them. But I just don't think that goes very far in politics. You look at someone like Barack Obama, who had other things going for him besides the fact that he had a bit of star power. Barack Obama was going to be the first black president, which was obviously one of the driving factors behind his support. Or you can go back further and look at Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton had, some of the star power that people say that Beto has. But Bill Clinton had real political skills and he had real political experience. And Beto, it seems to me, is simply the image, but none of the sort of substance or real appeal that people like Clinton or Obama had.
Now, have we settled on this? Is it Beto or Beto? Is it Kamala or Kamala?
It's Kama, like Kamal.
Has this been settled?
But I don't know Beto or Beto. What is it?
I like Beto, but maybe it's Beto.
I've heard
I don't know.
both.
Daniel, can you
Well,
adjudicate this for us?
He is, of course, really Robert, but prefers to make himself sound a bit more exotic.
Yeah. So you have a column, to win, Democrats need to be more like Trump. Perish the thought. That's not going to be received well in Democrat circles. What do you mean?
Well, basically, Donald Trump in 2016 stole what had been the Democrats' big issues, the issues that had led them to power or back to power in 2006 and in 2008. The Iraq War, the idea that American foreign policy had gone off the rails, and then the response to the Great Recession and the idea that the American middle class was under siege. Those had been the issues that Democrats capitalized on a decade ago, and then they were able to stay in power in 2012, through incumbency, through having Obama already in there. But, they didn't have those issues going for them in 2016 when Donald Trump was really the candidate of middle-class economics, the candidate of, industrial support, and the candidate of a more restrained foreign policy as well, which perhaps surprised people, but I think was one of Trump's strongest elements. So the Democrats now are basically running the way they tried to run last year, which is simply as the anti-Trump party. And that's going to get them a certain distance, and it got them, control of Congress last year. But I don't know that it's really going to be sufficient for 2020. So I think they're facing the difficulty of how you make an economic case against Trump when you have, record low unemployment, and how they're going to make a case that our foreign policy is off the rails, when in fact Donald Trump has, been pretty successful there and has kept us out of any kind of fresh conflicts like the Libyan War or the Iraq War.
Well, right. It seems like on the economic piece, the path that they're going to take is that we're going to give you a bunch of free stuff that you're otherwise paying for: college, jobs, space travel, whatever you want.
Yeah, and in fact, the private sector is doing so well right now under Donald Trump that I think the Democrats are going to have a hard time making a persuasive case that, if Uncle Sam comes in and simply starts handing out freebies, that's going to improve people's lives more than having, good paying jobs. I mean, wages are rising right now, which is just phenomenal. Donald Trump has actually succeeded not only in, lowering the unemployment rate, but actually in raising everyone's wages. I think voters are going to look at that and find that to be a more persuasive case than the idea that, we're going to reheat socialism for the 21st century with Bernie Sanders.
And I've never seen so many help wanted signs all over the city of Chicago, believe it or not. But of the candidates that have thrown their hat into the ring, who do you think could possibly come close to beating President Trump?
Well, the conventional wisdom always comes back to Joe Biden, who hasn't thrown his hat into the ring quite yet, although certainly this week he's been giving indications that he's going to get in. But Biden is one of these candidates who, seems very powerful on paper, but I think as soon as he gets in the race, he's going to have to face a lot of challenges from his left among Democrats, and then he's going to be, quite sort of bloodied and wounded by the time he gets to a general election. You saw this with Hillary Clinton as well. Before Hillary Clinton got into the race herself in 2014, 2015, she was considered, in the abstract, one of the most popular politicians in America. People just liked the idea of Hillary Clinton. But then once they actually saw her, once even Democratic voters saw her in the primaries, she lost a lot of popularity, and she had trouble fending off Bernie Sanders from the left in the primaries. And then, of course, she lost to Donald Trump in the general election. I think Joe Biden would follow exactly the same path.
Biden is just waiting to see if he can get Neil Kinnock on as a speechwriter, I presume. That's the last piece of the puzzle. Interesting, since the Vanity Fair was raised, since Beto's on the cover, Peter Hamby writing in Vanity Fair about how the Democrats can stop nuking themselves. And his point is three-pronged, I guess. Tackle economic security, prize Dubuque voters over the media, and stop listening to Twitter. Those seem to be relatively straightforward and simple, but particularly on the latter 2 points, prize Dubuque voters over the media and stop listening to Twitter, even Joe Biden doesn't seem to be able to do that.
No, it really seems like, sort of nostalgia for an earlier media environment. Twitter, in fact, seems to be, it has plenty of drawbacks. It can be quite a trivial medium. But it actually does, create this impression of engagement with, a large direct audience of Americans who can talk back to you, which I think is one of the best things about Twitter. It's not just tuning in to hear a fireside chat or to see, what a candidate has to say on television. But on Twitter, people can actually comment, fire back, and, criticize directly what they're hearing from some politician.
He is Daniel McCarthy. He's the author at The Spectator. He's director of the Robert Novak Fellowship Program at the Fund for American Studies, of which I'm a graduate of their comparative economic systems.
Get in there.
Comparative political and economic systems. And he's also the editor of Modern Age Conservative Review. Oh, wait, I forgot. I got to ask. Anybody who's got the Twitter handle Tory Anarchist, I've got to ask about Brexit before we let you go. So what is happening there with PM May and Brexit?
Well, it's just dismaying. The degree of incompetence that May's government has shown is startling. Now, May herself was a Remainer. She was always opposed to Brexit. And so I think, the majority of British people who voted for leaving the European Union are looking at this prime minister, and perhaps they're not totally surprised that she's proved to be the wrong person to get the country out of this bureaucratic mess. I do think Brexit will happen. I mean, it is still, meant to be triggered in the next couple of weeks here. But, it's proven to be just one humiliation after another for Theresa May and the Conservative government in terms of actually getting the legislation in place to make this happen in any sort of orderly fashion.
Daniel McCarthy, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruit and veggie capsules contain 100% fine-ripened fruits and vegetables, tested pure with no pesticides, fillers, or additives of any kind, and are the most effective whole food supplements on the market today. You might ask, how can over 10 servings of 31 different fruits and vegetables fit into 6 vegetarian capsules? Fruits and vegetables are on an average 85% water. Balance of Nature uses cold vacuum technology to remove the water, leaving only the whole food. We don't use any heat, air, or light drying methods that damage nutrients. Our cold vacuum technology maintains 99% of the fresh fruits and vegetables' original nutritional value. Along with diet and exercise, Mother Nature provides fruits and vegetables to help us maintain good health.
To order, go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751 and use discount code CHICAGO.
The rain is coming, and you certainly do not want water in your basement or crawl space. And what you could do is call the people over there at Permaseal. Call 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-SEAL to schedule your free estimate with one of their certified consultants. They will inspect your foundation inside and out and provide you with a dependable solution. Water and structural problems do not go away. In fact, they will only get worse over time. Since 1979, homeowners all over the Chicagoland area and Northwest Indiana have trusted Permaseal. They are a Chicago Tribune top workplace and have twice received a Better Business Bureau Torch Award for marketplace ethics. You can feel confident calling the best for a dry basement and healthy home. You know who to call. Call Permaseal. 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325. Or visit permaseal.net.
Varicose and spider veins. Wow, what a gift from my mom. She had them, I got them, and not only are they uncomfortable and sometimes painful, but I stopped wearing skirts and shorts because I was embarrassed and I really hated the way my legs looked. When my kids asked me, "What are those things on your legs?" I was done. I finally went to Vein Clinics of America. The procedure took about an hour and I was right back to work. What they're doing with lasers these days is unbelievable. The staff made me feel so comfortable, and the results, well, even my husband has noticed. Vein Clinics of America has been treating vein disease for over 35 years. They're the largest and most experienced in the U.S. Look, I've been doing the commercials for Vein Clinics for years because I really believe in them, and you can trust them too. The best part, my insurance covered the procedure, so stop hiding your legs. Call Vein Clinics of America now to see if you qualify for a free consultation. Call 800-375-8900, 800-375-8900. That's 800-375-8900.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, do you care about the Iditarod? It's that sled race through Alaska, and they
Sure, Todd
fight the
Palin.
elements.
The Todd Palin.
Oh yeah,
Did he
yeah.
win?
They all. You know what? I've been to Alaska. They all look like Todd
Susan
Palin.
Butcher. I did that. I did a dog sled.
Oh, did you?
When I would cruise up the Inside Passage.
Were you able to control the pups?
Yeah, it was fun. But I mean, I'm not a professional Iditarod racer. This just in.
It's a one.
Our producer Quinn McCarthy is though.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's what we're going to thank him
Iditarod
for.
champion.
It's a 1,000-mile Arctic haul across Alaska. Through Nome to Anchorage. Started March 2nd.
Easy on those dogs.
And the leader of the pack, Nicholas Petit of Greenwood, Alaska.
Petite, maybe?
Maybe.
Or Pettit?
I like Petit. I like Pettit. Maybe Pettit. But there was he was leading the pack. There was a disagreement.
Bob Petit, the great St. Louis Hawks. Okay.
There was a disagreement between two of his dogs, one a veteran and a younger dog, caused the sled to pause, then completely halt. When Pettit had to raise his voice to discipline the animals, one of the younger dogs was yapping and wanted to take a potty break, and the big dog didn't like it, so he pounced on the little dog. And then when Pettit raised his voice, everybody heard Daddy yelling, which normally doesn't happen, and they wouldn't go anywhere at all. They wouldn't move. So then he went and checked into this log cabin and fed them, and then got up in the morning and said, it's over. So dogs decided to drop out of the race.
This sounds like
not the owner.
Sounds
so
like
the
that,
dogs were fighting back. They're like, screw it, we can't get along. We're not going to win. We're not going anywhere.
Sounds like that dog sled could have been made by Boeing. It sounds like the 737 MAX 8 of a dog sled.
They augured into something. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, who is an Iditarod professional extraordinaire. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's get into the newsroom. Perry Williams filling in for Mike Scott.
Here's some of the stories we're following. A teenage boy is charged with involuntary manslaughter and the accidental shooting death of a 13-year-old this past weekend on Chicago's South Side. And Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx asked top cop Eddie Johnson to turn the Jussie Smollett probe over to the FBI.